Lost internet there for just a few seconds, but we are back. So Emmett had a tough turn one, started Giratina V in the active. Not much else going on that turn, while Nick had a great turn one, had a Colress, had a Comfy, had an Abyss Seeking. And going back over to Emmett's second turn, we saw an Abyss Seeking, only has 2 in the Lost Zone now. Nick with a very strong start in this game.
Yeah, Nick has definitely taken the lead here. I think grabbing that path to the peak on an early decision off of a Colress, and at first glance it seemed like a good choice to get rid of, but I think taking that path made a lot of sense. Just shutting off Emmett's real only way to see some cards since he doesn't have any Comfies down. Emmett's just been Abyss Seeking. And yeah, Nick looking like he will be taking command of this game with the first 2-prize knockout, I think. You know, he's already got that 1 Mirage Gate in hand. Just needs to get 1 more card in the Lost Zone, and we'll be able to Mirage Gate. Looks like he's got the Tina V-Star in the hand as well. So really just needs a switch card off of this next flower selecting, and he will be taking some prizes. So definitely big flower selecting here.
Tina V-Star and a Water Energy off that flower selecting.
Yeah, not quite going to do it.
Yeah, I think, at this point with Emmett's board state the way it is, and you already have a Tina V in the Lost Zone, you could get rid of that V-Star. Depending on what his prizes are, we don't really have a great idea of that yet. But he did already have the other V-Star in hand. There's going to be 7 in the Lost Zone now, so this Mirage Gate is live. Just looking through the deck, it looks like plenty of energy to attach off of that, and we see a Grass and a Psychic come down onto this Giratina V-Star.
Yeah, looks like it's just going to have to establish his board for this turn. Emmett likely won't be able to get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone, but might not need to. If he just has V-Star, Energy, and Boss, could just go ahead and swing, but looks like he had
Nick did have a gold switch in hand.
He had a gold switch in hand. Okay.
So Nick gonna take the first 2 prizes in this mirror. Now, a lot of times that is a very strong play, but the Giratina V-Star deck is really known for its ability to come from behind. Now Emmett's counter catchers are live. Only problem for Emmett is the only thing you really want to knock out is that Giratina V-Star. So
already in the active.
Emmett going to have to find a way to get a meaningful attack off this turn. And with only 2 in the Lost Zone, that's going to be tough. That means he needs 3 Comfies plus a Colress to get to 7. And that's just a lot to ask for this deck. And Emmett still has not seen a Colress, but we're going to see another Comfy come down here. I believe that's a Mirage Gate and a Psychic Energy off of that flower selecting. And I think we are going to be passing the turn with no attack again from Emmett. An unfortunate start to the game here for Emmett, but this is a best of 7. So going to have plenty of time to come back in this series, even if this game doesn't end up going his way.
Yeah, and one key difference between Emmett's list and Nick's list is Emmett is also playing 1 copy of Iono. Mm-hmm. So something really important in the Tina Mirror is playing around going down to 3 prize cards or less remaining, and then getting Roxanne yourself. The Iono is a little bit harder to play around because once you take those first 2 prizes, you can get Iono down to 4, and that can make you whiff on the next turn.
Yeah. But we do see another Mirage Gate come down here from Nick, and he does have the boss's orders in hand. So Nick going to go down to only 2 prize cards remaining after this turn, just deciding what energy to attach from that Mirage Gate to this active Giratina V-Star.
Yeah, possibly wanting to conserve the water energies in his deck to use Radiant Greninja if to take the last 2 prizes of this game on 2 Comfies. Makes sense to me. Yeah, going to attach from hand, and yeah, this is looking pretty tough for Emmett. We might be seeing quick game 2 here. Yeah, going to take those 2 prizes, go down to 2 prizes remaining. Emmett does not have another Giratina established.
He does finally find that Colress, though, off of the top deck, but at this point it may just be too late. We could see, a world where Nick doesn't have another Giratina V down. If Emmett can get a Giratina V down this turn, then use that Radiant Greninja to take 2 on the Comfies, and then take out the V-Star on the following turn without Nick establishing some sort of board state here that would allow him to power up another Giratina V-Star. That could be a way for Emmett to come from behind, but that's a lot to ask for at this point, and after playing that Colress this turn, it means he's not disrupting that large hand that Nick has, and we already see in there multiple Colresses experiment.
Did find the Giratina V there, but yeah, it doesn't really look like he's got one Mirage Gate in hand, but no way to find that third energy needed to use Moonlight Shuriken. Gonna have to go into another flower selecting here and see if he can get there.
Jet Energy, Manaphy, and those are not the cards he needed to see off of that flower selecting. But I'm not sure that there's any 2 cards he could have seen off that flower selecting that could have gotten him back into this game. Just a very strong start from Nick, and a tough start for Emmett here. But using that Jet Energy to get a third flower selecting in, does find a second Mirage Gate. Getting rid of that Forest Seal Stone and getting to, I believe that should be 8 in the Lost Zone now.
Yeah, speaking of that
Or 9.
Forest Seal Stone, kind of a interesting inclusion that actually both players elected to put in their lists. We've been seeing that a little bit come up. It seems a little counterintuitive at first. You'd typically would think you'd want to use that Star Requiem V-Star power, such a powerful attack, being able to knock out anything. But in some matchups, being able to do 160 with the V and 280 with the V-Star is enough, and just valuing that extra consistency to get into a game can be kind of nice.
Yeah. Both these players included that Forest Seal Stone as one of their 3 cards from their 60-card deck that the other player did not know about. So each player, we had talked about earlier on, submitted a 57-card deck, and then each player saw those 57 cards, and then both Emmett and Nick had the chance of adding 3 more cards to their deck that the other player would not know about, and each of them elected to go for that Forest Seal Stone as soon as they knew it was a mirror. That V-Star power, not as impactful in the mirror, does help conserve some energy from going to the Lost Zone, but that Forest Seal Stone can really up your consistency in this deck.
Yeah, and Emmett was able to get that Radiant Greninja powered up, is going to be able to get into that Moonlight Shuriken, taking out 2 Comfies, but is it going to be too little too late? Nick can win next turn with a Gust onto that Giratina V.
Yeah, and we'll see what Nick has in hand. He does have, I think, multiple counter catchers in hand, but those obviously aren't live. Does have Colress Experiment as his supporter, and this was sort of the situation we were talking about. The best way for Emmett to come from behind here was to take 2 prizes with 1 prizer on this turn, and then get Nick to a board state where he doesn't have another Giratina V established, so that Emmett can just take out this lone Giratina V-Star and get ahead from there. But we do see a Nest Ball in Nick's hand, so we can go for the Giratina V off of that. Looks like he could be eyeing up a Cramorant, though, as well, if he has maybe something like an Escape Rope, cram into one of those Comfies, and then he only needs to take 1 more prize.
Also has the option to respond with the Radiant Greninja of his own here. Only 1 water in the Lost Zone, meaning there should be 2 waters left.
I believe that 1 water might be in the prize cards. I think he was eyeing up that play last turn and realized he didn't have enough water energy to do it.
Yeah, looks like you're right. Looks like we do just see the 1 water energy in the deck there.
So Nest Ball coming down. I think it's got to grab a Giratina V here, and you just kind of, as much as you hate to do it, you just got to use the V-Star power to knock out this Greninja. So you can conserve some energy, and then you can rod those back Mirage Gate later. But Nick has used 2 Mirage Gates now, or 3? He's got 1 in the Lost Zone, and then I think he's played 2?
Yeah, I think so.
So does at least have 1 more, but you just have to imagine you're also going to be Rock Sand on the following turn. So you really got to set up this board state to a point where no matter what Emmett does on his following turn, you can find a way out of it. Lost Vacuum, Mirage Gate, off of off of that Colress.
He's electing to get rid of a Colress. Maybe kind of a risky play.
I think you got to keep. Choosing to keep Mirage Gate, Lost Vacuum, and Cramorant here. I'm not quite sure what the Lost Vacuum is good for, although I guess it can get rid of the Stadium, and then you can start drawing some more cards with the Radiant Greninja. Choosing to attach for turn to that Giratina V-Star.
Yeah, might be choosing to go for that Lost Impact then, if he's going with the attachment there.
This does make sense in a way. Playing that Cramorant down, he's only going to need one more prize card after this turn. So as long as he can draw into a boss's orders, he has those comfies on the bench to take a knockout with that Cramorant. Benching that Sableye as well. Again, Sableye's Lost Mine, another great way to take that last prize card of the game. So Nick still in a very good position here, although this Roxanne, you have to imagine, is going to be coming down from Emmett on the following turn. I believe he already has it in hand as well.
Yeah, so I think with this game one here, we're seeing exactly how the Tina Mir typically plays out. You know, as strong of as a start one player can have, Tina's just so good at playing from behind that it's just, you can never really count Giratina out, even against itself.
Yeah. Using that concealed cards, discards a grass energy from hand to draw 2, and draws into Roxanne Colress. I think you want to probably bench that Manaphy as well, just because you don't want to draw into it off of a Roxanne, and you just have to always be playing towards that Roxanne turn from your opponent.
Is electing not to bench the Manaphy. I do think he probably should have. We'll see what his cards are going to be off of this inevitable Roxanne.
We see a top deck of the V-Star for Emmett. Very good top deck there. Has some energy in hand to attach, one of those being a Jet Energy, so he does at least have the switching out. One unfortunate thing that we did see from Emmett last turn is he had to use double Mirage Gate for Greninja, but wasn't able to get an additional energy onto the Giratina V. So that means that his deck might be empty of energies right now, but it looks like he does have the Super Rod. So Super Rod going to shuffle those energies back, but now he's got to find some Mirage Gates to power up this Giratina V-Star. He has one in hand, and he does have 9 in the Lost Zone, so one Flower Selecting will get him there. So he does have what he needs on this turn to take this knockout and combine it with the Roxanne already. But I think he's hoping to establish some additional things as well.
Yeah, he's just going to go one to the Comfy, one to the V-Star. Has another grass in hand to attach to that V-Star there. Plays a path to the peak of his own. Turns off, maybe turning some of those energies that Nick could draw into off of this Roxanne into potential outs.
Yeah. And Nick shuffling it like it's not Iono, but it is a Roxanne. Yeah, Emmett will have 10 in the Lost Zone after this Flower Selecting. He has not Flower Selected yet, so only 2 energies on the Tina means he couldn't use that first attack on the Giratina V-Star, but he can use the V-Star power to take the KO on Nick's Giratina V-Star.
All right, and we'll see what we get off of this Roxanne here. Nick has quite a few outs left still in his deck. Being able to attack with the Sableye would get him there. Boss's Orders would get him there with the Cramorant. Emmett finds a Sableye of his own. And he's going to do that Flower Select to get to 10 in the Lost Zone here. Believe he kept Colress over the Cramorant. Makes sense. Oh, it was a counter catcher. And then we're going to see that V-Star marker. Emmett just checking his Lost Zone, double checking he's got 10, which he does. And going to see that Star Requiem.
That counter catcher in Emmett's hand is very important as well. Because Nick only has 1 prize card remaining, that counter catcher is still live, and he can just go after that Tina V if Nick can't close it out on this turn, and Nick really has to close it out on this turn.
Yeah, and I think Nick last time was debating about whether putting a comfy on his bench or not, and I think he probably should have there.
Top deck
Oh
of
my
the
gosh,
Roxanne. So he just needs to find a way to switch out of the active, but he can super rod back some of these energies. 2 psychic and a grass. Obviously, his win condition here is to attack with that Sableye, and he's going to be able to not only Roxanne and draw himself some cards, but we know Emmett had pretty much game in hand with that counter catcher. Plus, I believe he also had an energy. So this Roxanne limiting Emmett's hand is going to be very strong for Nick as well.
Yeah, what a crazy top deck. That that's how the mirror goes, though, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, his hand was looking pretty rough, I think, before that top deck. I think he was going to lose if he did not get that Roxanne there.
Big 6 cards here for Nick. Very big 2 cards for Emmett if Nick whiffs. And we'll see what these players can pull together off of this Roxanne.
Yeah, I think he sent up the Cram that turn. I think sending up the Sableye was maybe a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Not sure how many bosses Nick still has left in the deck, but I think he had more outs to winning with Sableye than Cram.
Just counting. Don't want to draw too many cards, get a big penalty, and a $1,000 money match. And we see lots of energies, but no switch outs. So the question is, he's just going to have to wait for next turn and spit into this Giratina V-Star, I think.
Yeah, I think Nick's slightly punished by choosing to promote that Cramorant there. But, depending on what Emmett drew into, could still maybe be okay. Yeah, I'm just going to spit into that Giratina and see what the cards have in store for him.
Jet Energy, Nest Ball, Colress from Emmett. That Colress can go find him that counter catcher for game. He does have the energy to attack with this Giratina V-Star. Gonna Nest Ball for a Cramorant of his own. Yeah. And then you just gotta believe that it's gonna be a Colress searching for that counter catcher.
Yeah, just thinning the deck, getting that Cramorant out of there, maximizing his chances of hitting that counter catcher for game.
What a crazy come from behind win this would be for Emmett, being down 6-2, but finding a way back. And that's really the beauty of cards like Roxanne and counter catcher. Shuffling up here after that Nest Ball, finding him that Cramorant, just thinning the deck at this point. I believe Emmett does have one more Mirage Gate as well, so he can Colress here. And if he hits Mirage Gate, he can use that Jet Energy on a Comfy to dig a little bit more as well if he doesn't quite get what he needs, because Mirage Gate would get the additional energy on the Giratina V-Star that he needs. Switch Cart, Energy. I couldn't see what that fifth card was. I think it was a Roxanne. Yep. And not quite what he needed, but that Switch Cart plus Jet Energy means he can dig a little bit deeper. So has Jet Energy in hand. He can Comfy 3 times now, but he needs to find a lot off of those 3 Comfies.
Yeah, just trying to map out this turn. What gives him the best odds of finding that counter catcher? I think I mean, he just loses next turn, so it's just gonna have to. He's just gonna have to switch into a Comfy and hope he hits it.
Choosing to attach return to the Tina. Are we gonna see a big pass here? And that is game. Nick has the energy to retreat and Sableye. So Nick taking down game 1 of this big best of 7 Tina V-Star mirror. Wow, what a game.
Yeah.
It got very close there in the end. Emmett almost finding a way to come back from it. Just that Roxanne top deck from Nick, just turning the tables again. You know, Emmett turns the tables with that first Roxanne. Nick is forced to pass without doing anything, or really just in a tough position. Top decks Roxanne off of Emmett's Roxanne, getting rid of that counter catcher Emmett needed for game in Emmett's hand. And that's the Tina V-Star mirror.
That's the Tina V-Star mirror, yeah. Showing it up right away. Game 1, pretty exciting stuff. I'm ready to see what the rest of these games have in store for us.
Absolutely. We will be right back as our players set up for game 2. All right, welcome back. We are here for game 2. Did a little switcheroo. Max and now the table judge, Cody, here casting with me. And it looks like Nick is going first, starting that Giratina V in the active. And it looks like maybe not much else going on in that hand. Taking a little while to look through it, and it looks like that hand is not doing too much here for Nick. So after winning game 1, Emmett choosing to go second. Is Nick going to use that Forest Seal Stone? And he is. That Forest Seal Stone coming in big for Nick. VIP pass obviously going to be coming down here to get him 2 comfies. He's got a switch cart and I believe a jet energy as well in that hand. Turning that Forest Seal Stone, turning what would have been a disastrous turn 1 in the mirror to a pretty standard, pretty good turn 1.
Yeah, I don't think he's too upset about that. Obviously, Requiem is pretty big. One card I'm surprised that nobody sided in, or whatever the term is we're gonna throw on that, is a V-Guard energy. Yeah. I thought I would definitely get a V-Guard energy in the mirror. Obviously, it's very good. The only way to get through a V-Guarded Tina is with Requiem.
Mm-hmm.
After game 1, though, the only text that the other players were able to see, Emmett saw Guzma's vacuum,
mm-hmm.
and Nick saw but didn't pay attention to Emmett's Forest Sealstone.
Well, now Emmett has seen Nick's Forest Seal Stone as well, so it's kind of a you show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Yeah, something like that.
So off that first flower selecting one Tina V to the Lost Zone, and then a switch going down to the Lost Zone, I believe over a Tina V star off that second flower selecting, and then we're seeing a pass back over to Emmett. See what this turn one hand holds for Emmett. It looks like there is a VIP pass, and I believe I saw a Chorus's experiment as well. So going to be a pretty good turn one here for Emmett. May even be able to take the first prize card of the game.
Yeah, Emmett has a chance to have a pretty strong turn one. Emmett also is playing an extra Cramorant, which was not exposed from game one. An extra Cramorant, that was a pretty big deal. So if he's able to take a Cramorant KO on this turn, Nick could potentially respond with his own. Emmett could then respond with a second one, which is a very big deal because then he could go from 4 prizes to KOing a V or V star, going down to 2, and then threatening game on that last turn.
Yeah. So I'm just checking the prizes here for Emmett. Obviously going to be seeing 2 comfies coming down from this Battle VIP pass. Checking the energies now, it looks like maybe 1 water is prized.
One grass, too, unless it's in hand.
Water in
Grass,
hand.
yeah.
Grass is prized, though.
Maybe.
Just taking note here. Obviously, $1,000 on the line. You don't want to lose because you Mirage gated for an energy that was not in your deck.
Emmett did have to play an extra gate game 1 to get the KO off. Guzma was paying attention to that. Emmett definitely looking to have a better, I would say, first turn or 2 than he did in game 1. I know he ended up going first. He didn't get a turn 2 Colress. I don't think he got a Tina down either, actually, on his first turn or turn 2.
Emmett, the problem was he had too many Tinas down. All he had were Tinas down. And no comfies for Emmett last game.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, yeah. Couldn't get to V stars,
Yeah.
and then he ended up having to Abyss.
Yep.
A couple turns, that's what it was. Being down your Requiem in the mirror is not as big of a deal as you would think it is. It does stop you from being able to establish 2 attacking threats because you'll have to get 3 energies onto them instead of just 2. Whereas if you have 2 energies on a bench, you're at least threatening Requiem if you can't do anything else.
Colress coming down here from Emmett, finding Switch Cart, Sableye, Stadium, another Colress, and a Comfy. Stadiums are kind of an easy thing to get rid of in this mirror match. Although it is important at times to shut off your opponent's Radiant Greninja, they really are an easy choice off of these Colresses and Flower Selectings.
Being aware that there is a vacuum, though, I'm a little surprised he threw it away as fast as he did, but given the other 3 cards he was going to pick from, I'm not surprised it left. But.
Yeah. Now it looks like it was Forest Seal and Comfy off of this first Flower Selecting. Going to save that Forest Seal Stone. We're going to see an attach retreat here into the second Comfy. He's only got 3 in the Lost Zone right now.
Bamboozled on that.
And Mirage Gate Grass Energy is the choice here. It's going to have to be that Mirage Gate. But that would leave Emmett with just 2 Grass Energies left in deck.
I could have saw that one going either way.
Going to see the Tina V Star plus 4 Seal Stone, I think, coming down here.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's even just for a switch if he does end up doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Choosing to hold on to it and passing over to Nick. Nick saved a little bit there by that Cramorant KO not coming down onto that Comfy. Now Nick, with that vacuum in deck, like you mentioned, Cody, we could see Nick getting to 7 this turn just off of 1 Colress and 2 Comfies. And getting a Greninja playoff here would be huge for Nick.
Nick does control the supply of Path of the Peak this game. If he doesn't suspect Emmett to have a way to bump it, I wouldn't think it would be strange for Nick to intentionally go behind at the start of this, so he could get his catcher path Roxanne playoff like we saw Emmett do last game. Emmett was, I think, a little too far behind at that point, but could definitely see some stuff come back if we can get a catcher Roxanne path to stick.
Now the question for Nick here is, do you take this KO? I just don't see this being all that valuable. You'd rather have Emmett take the first prize card and then have your counter catchers live to go after his V-Star, but I think we are going to see this turn 2 spit instantly from that Cramorant, taking out that Comfy. The only merit to that, I think, too, is that you did see one Comfy go to the Lost Zone. This does limit the amount of flower selectings now that Emmett can do, but he had a pretty big hand. You got to assume he's got the Chorus, and he just needs one more flower selecting to get to his Mirage Gate turn. And so opening up that counter catcher play on Emmett's side of the board is pretty dangerous. I believe Iono, Boss's Orders, and a Mirage Gate being considered here for Emmett. The only problem that Emmett's having on this turn and in this series so far is not finding those Giratina V-Stars.
You got to think he keeps the Iono here. That's one of his cards that Nick does not know about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, that's a pretty spendy chorus he has to choose.
Getting rid of one Mirage Gate. And
what was the other card?
And he's deciding between the Iono and the Boss.
Oof. You know, if those are the cards you have to pick between, it's a pickle.
I'm not quite sure what he kept over those, though. It was counter catcher? Nest Ball?
Nest Ball, another Boss, it looks like.
Another Boss, all right.
Wow, that chorus was horrible.
Yeah, that is rough. He does still have that Forest Seal Stone in hand, though, from the previous turn. So that Forest Seal Stone could be putting in some work here to find that Giratina V-Star if he's got the energy plus the counter catcher and the switching effect that he needs to take a knockout on one of Nick's Giratinas on the bench. Or do you just let Nick stay ahead, take that Cramorant KO, and let Nick stay ahead and use that counter catcher on a later turn? That could be an option as well.
Letting him go up 2 is not a very good spot to be in.
Well, he could Cramorant and he could Cramorant and let Nick stay ahead on prizes, but not 2 ahead. You know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Going to see an attach retreat, and that looks like what Evan is going for. Going to have that spit innocently KO on Nick's Cramorant. Both players going to be at 5 prize cards remaining, and Emmett still with very strong hand. And like you mentioned, Emmett is the only one playing Iono in this matchup. So no disruption going to be coming down from Nick, but as soon as Nick goes to 4 prizes, we could see an Iono really disrupting what Nick is able to do if he doesn't set up his board on this turn.
Emmett very likely wanting Nick to take a prize here, but just one prize even, so he could get the Iono off. The worst place to be at in the mirror is the first person to go to 3 prizes, if you have to go to 3.
This is a tough flower selecting for Nick. It's Psychic Energy, Mirage Gate, and he's going to have to get rid of the Mirage Gate with a Psychic Energy already in that Lost Zone, most likely. Choosing to get rid of the Psychic Energy. I've been almost wrong on all of these flower selectings.
What was he choosing between?
Mirage Gate, Psychic Energy. Maybe he just didn't have another Mirage Gate in hand. But we did see a flower selecting before the Chorus, which is not a common thing, but sometimes it makes sense trying to determine what you want to get rid of. But a tough Chorus here.
Did the Comfy put him up to 7? Is that why he was debating that? I think it did.
I believe it did, yeah.
Ooh, is he giving up both waters here? Or is that water jet?
I believe he's getting up 2 water energies here. A tough, or maybe water energy and a Nest Ball.
Looks like it's water jet.
No, that's a gold card.
All these gold cards look
I
the
think
same.
I think it might have been a Nest Ball, to be honest with you. Water energy not as impactful right now, given that Emmett doesn't have a board that Nick could use Moonlight Shuriken on anyway to great effect, other than setting up some damage on something that can be Sableye later. And hitting 90 on the Cramorant isn't bad. I mean, that does lead to a double Sableye KO on a later turn. We do see that Radiant Greninja in hand for Nick, so we could see a Moonlight Shuriken play here where he doesn't go down to 3 prize cards remaining, and like you said, he doesn't know about that Iono yet. So thinking that that would put him in a good position to not be disrupted but still be taking a prize.
Yeah, attacking with the Greninja here too would also put a lot of odd things in play. So Cram wouldn't be able to take a KO, but Cram would also have to get out of the active for Emmett to take a KO. Yeah, that would be odd. I do think the Tina mirror is probably the most intricate mirror in this standard that we're about to leave.
Yeah, it is very difficult.
It looks basic. It looks very easy.
But between the Greninja and the Sableye and all of the disruption, there's just so many things that you have to sort of wrap your head around while you're playing.
Given how lost game one looked, Emmett wasn't ever actually out of that game.
I think Nick has made a maybe serious blunder here. Playing Mirage Gate did not have enough energy in deck for it, though, only attaching 1 Psychic Energy off of that Mirage Gate.
Keeping Emmett on his toes. Or something like that. Does he have a rod in his hand also? Maybe counting some of these energies he might have thrown away.
Yeah. I think he does have a rod in hand. And we're going to see a switch now into...
One of the biggest differences between these two deck lists is Nick choosing to play 2 switches so he can get Tina V-Stars out of the active. Emmett not playing any switches at all, but 3 cards.
I believe, I'm not sure what that card he took off the flower selecting was, but getting rid of another energy into the Lost Zone. So I believe we have at least 5 energies maybe in the Lost Zone at this point.
I don't know what Nick's optimal turn there was, but I don't think it was passing, letting your Comfy die. But that looks like it was all he could do. Emmett's probably going to be thinking twice about even playing the Iono this turn.
Yeah.
Nick has a big hand, and he gated for 1 energy. And anyone who's played Tina before at all knows that that means that hand is probably full of energy.
That's the weird thing, though. It's not. I don't know where all those energies are. Are they prized? Where are Nick's grass energies? He hasn't been using Radiant Greninja, so are all his grass energies prized? Because there's only 1 of them in the Lost Zone.
Well, Nick taking inventory of these basic energies right now. He stopped partway through. Maybe the 1 psychic energy take was just a deep fake mind game, lizard brain, Nick wants Emmett to think his deck and hand are both bad.
Nick playing 4D chess here. Both my deck and my hand are bad. I dare you to disrupt me.
Do it, you won't. Emmett's spreading out pretty wide here. You put that tool down knowing that Guzma plays a vacuum. I guess it baits out the vacuum, but there's nothing else that you're going to be vacuuming this game unless it's a path. I assume he's going to at least debate. No, just revealing off that super rod here. At least debate popping that tool. Otherwise, if it just gets vacuumed instantly, then that's a big feels bad.
Nick does have the vacuum in hand as well. But I'm imagining that we're going to see this Iono come down here with that attachment of the Force Seal, kind of banking off of, if I don't get what I need off the Iono, I can still get it off of that Force Seal stone. Both players drawing 5 off that Iono, and it looks like Emmett drew into a good amount of energy there. But did also draw into another Mirage Gate.
Nick somehow drew into a better hand than he had before.
I mean, when you just pass on your 3rd turn of the game, it's hard to have a worse hand maybe than that.
Yeah.
But we do see that spit innocently from the Cramorant, knocking out that active Comfy, and now Nick goes into, or his counter catcher turns. The question is, does he have the cards necessary to get that playoff on that already powered up Giratina V-Star on the bench?
This is actually a big turn, and this is a turn where I feel like there's a lot of mistakes that could possibly come up. The biggest one being trying to catcher KO or boss KO a Tina. The Tina V-Star would be okay, but it does put Guzma into Roxanne's spot.
Yeah.
And he has a pretty big deck, and as we already talked about, everything in it's bad. So that's a Guzma. Excuse me, that's a Colress. Guzma took a Colress. It's confusing. Those are both cards in Pokemon.
So Nick getting Colress off of that Pokegear. The only thing to say about that counter catcher play on the Giratina V-Star is if he can power up both Tina V-Stars on this turn somehow, he could sort of Roxanne-proof his board while getting rid of Emmett's only real attacker into one of his V-Stars.
He would be taking a lot of value on that.
We do see that lost vacuum off of this Colress, so he could get rid of that Forest Seal Stone on Emmett's side of the board as well.
Has to take that. Can't imagine he doesn't take that.
We'll see what this is. Does have the counter catcher in hand if he wants to go for that play.
Trying to decide which of these two piles are the keep and the throw piles.
Getting rid of Colress Boss.
Holy
That
cow.
is a rough Colress then. But does have the lost vacuum. Going to use that lost vacuum. Getting rid of a VIP pass.
Maximum value on that.
Emmett's
VIP.
Forest Seal Stone going to the Lost Zone.
To the abyss.
To the Abyss. And we'll see what Nick would really probably love to do here is at least counter catcher KO or find a way to get back his own Cramorant and just at least spit innocently. But this turn cannot end with another pass.
I think we're witnessing the big value that comes in a few of these tech cards in Tina lists. 2 Cramorant is very strong into exactly the Tina mirror.
Yeah.
See Guzma going for his own again here. Vacuum, pretty big. Again, I'm surprised there's no V guards, given that you know your opponent is playing Tina. Can you think of anything else in the mirror that would be a big power play?
Mew EX would be interesting because you could go from a no Tina V board to an ability to knock out a Tina V star.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So you could have a one prize board state, and then at the end of the game come in with an attacker when your opponent isn't ready for their V star to be knocked out. Or even the Crisis Punch could be huge as well.
Oh, Crisis Punch is very big. I didn't even think of that. That might be the biggest, actually. I like that a lot. I see your Tina V-Star, and I raise you a Cramorant.
Yeah, exactly. Switch cart going to the Lost Zone there off of that Comfy. And
here it is. That I am bewildered
I think we're seeing
by
a
that.
pass. I think we're seeing a pass. Because the only reason to counter catch up the Tina V with no energy on it is you're about to pass.
Well, I'd rather see a pass than a throw. So
Sometimes a pass is a throw.
not in this case.
Jet Energy coming down onto that Comfy for Emmett, and looks like this game is slowly slipping away from Nick here, just not able to put together the hands he needs. And I actually think that what we're seeing here is there's too many energy in that Lost Zone for Nick early on, and he must have prized some grass energy or the rest of his grass energy.
We are seeing Emmett go down to what looks like probably 3 prizes. We just talked about how that can be kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Guzma, though, is down his catcher. I almost don't like the boss stall play against Tina. Tina, known to be a deck that plays anywhere from 8 to 10 switches. Probably not going to stick him on a boss install.
7 to 9 switches.
Yeah, 7.
Because it's usually 4 Jets and 3 switch cards, right?
These two are playing 8.
8.
Both of them are playing 8. They're also both aware that the other plays 8.
Yeah. Mirage Gate coming down from Emmett, preparing his board to get Roxanne.
I want to see a water come down on this Comfy, actually. Good.
And that's what we're seeing.
Emmett has done a pretty good job this game at playing around Greninja. One big thing in the mirror to come back if you're ever behind that we actually saw game one is if the other player has 2 comfies down and you don't, you can KO them both.
Yeah.
If one player has 2 comfies and a Manaphy down, you can see double Sableye chain. You can go Sableye 4 onto each. Next turn, Sableye 4 onto each again, and you can set up a comeback that would have otherwise not been possible from only Sableyes. Some signs of life here from Guzma.
There's no grass energy in that deck. They are all in the prize cards.
Well, then there's no reason to continue playing this game, but we'll see if Guzma finds a reason despite that.
I mean, he could go, I guess, for the... he doesn't have enough energy to even power up Greninja.
Nope.
He's going to Mirage Gate for 1 energy again, and...
It's got to be for a retreat, I would guess, into hopefully Cramorant, KO Cramorant, take a grass energy, but even then he can't Requiem because he forested earlier. I think this game is
has to
out
be
of
over.
reach here for Nick.
Giratina's known for coming back, but maybe not for coming back from not having any energy to play.
I don't think that's a comeback he can make.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has a grass energy in his discard pile.
I don't think so. I think he plays 3 grass energy and he prized 2.
If these are back-to-back stall and pray plays, I don't think that's what we're looking for here.
Attach for turn and pass. That's what we're about to see.
I guess bright side, Greninja can't get KO'd by Cramorant. Is that a bright side? Emmett's hand, of course, full of switches. And by full of switches, I mean 2. The ask wasn't big. Ooh, you see Emmett making a big luxury play here. By putting a second energy on there, he keeps his established pivot. Emmett knows that the only way for Guzma to come back is going to have to involve a Roxanne.
Yeah.
So after Emmett retreats back, he'll still have an energy on Comfy. So after a Roxanne to 2, he'll be able to promote Comfy, draw up to 3, and then Comfy for the next 2. And at that point, that's a lot of cards in Emmett's fairly small deck.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with the spit here. I think you just have these Giratinas powered up, and then you Giratina KO the Greninja, and the only way he can KO your Giratinas with Giratina, and then you just take your last 2 prizes.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he did that.
I guess you can Sableye for 2, Greninja and Manaphy.
Well, so now Nick is going to be able to eliminate that extra draw we just talked about off the Roxanne that we also just talked about.
Yeah,
I would have liked to watch the V-Star come down. Emmett had his 3rd V-Star. I actually don't get the logic for not evolving it.
You're never really shredding in this matchup.
Seek or anything either. And now it's just an extra dead thing that he could be drawing.
If you're Abyss Seeking after turn 2, you're losing, I think.
Maybe not against Guzma this game, but Guzma actually did find a way to potentially claw back in.
Yeah.
If Guzma is able to take a KO on Comfy and take a grass energy while doing it, could also... wonder if he actually just goes for the Cramorant now. Probably not. I'm going to say probably not.
He does have Sableye, but he doesn't have... I don't know how many rods he has left. That's the question. He's already played at least 1 rod. I think there might be 1 more in that hand, actually. So we are going to see Greninja. So Nick going down to 4 prize cards remaining. Does he take the grass energy? Praying before he takes... He's trying to decide which one to take.
Is that the one?
I don't know. He's not going to show us. We won't know till next turn.
We'll never know.
It's always a bold thing to do on stream to not take your prize cards in order to. The chat's going to say, cheater, cheater. And it was not a grass energy, so.
If he's cheating, he's not doing very well.
My guess is the card that would have been in order is going to be the grass
Yeah,
energy.
probably.
You always play yourself playing that game.
Got. Emmett has a psychic energy that he might as well throw down. Emmett, of course, still has his Requiem available because his forest got vacuumed earlier. Emmett's hand is full of no options. It looked like a VIP pass. I actually couldn't tell what the other ones were, but he didn't even think about playing them, so they must not have been very good. Nick must have Sableye available to him.
He has Mirage Gate, and I think he had Super Rod in hand from last turn as well. So,
do you see a way for Nick to get back into this game? I do not.
I do not either. Emmett has not used his V-Star yet, and so all he really needs is a boss's orders for game.
I don't see a way through. The next 4 prizes that involves you KOing Cramorant for sure. But anything that's going to KO one of those Tinas is going to get immediately respawned on by one of the other Tinas.
What Nick would need here is a V-Guard energy and a Mist energy on a Giratina V-Star to KO another Giratina V-Star.
It'd be pretty cool if he had those.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is kind of just being drawn out here.
That path is actually still in play. Oh.
Yep, there we go. Got it fixed. And then Nick just counting how many cards left in deck. Trying to decide if Roxanne will deck him out or not. And it won't quite yet.
I wish it would.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a tough...
At least then he could go out with some dignity, deck himself out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a, Turo your only Pokemon concession.
Go out on your own terms.
Yeah. I think what he could do is boss's orders up Emmett's V-Star and then retreat into his own V-Star and then pass. That would be a great way to concede. But Nick could get the grass energy off of the Sableye KO onto the Cramorant. Unfortunately, he can't set up relevant damage on really anything else with the Sableye because it's not like he can set up enough damage on the Tina V to KO it with Cramorant.
I don't even think there's a play in desperation that you could.
Yeah, not with how Emmett's energy is spread on the board.
10 damage left to place. Going to drop it on a Tina. I guess he might as well. Threatens a KO if he manages to somehow keep Sableye around.
Yeah.
Maybe not doing that. I am further from understanding what's going on.
Playing around the V-Guard.
That must be what he's doing. Almost playing around.
And going into that Tina V, I think we're going to see an Abyss Seeking here. He's far enough ahead that it doesn't seem like he's too worried. Nest Ball going to get him his second Cramorant. Like you said, Cody, that second Cramorant putting in big work. And a Switch Cart healing off some of that Sableye damage, and then a Spit instantly going to take that KO, and that is just going to be game. He's got Mirage Gate.
His last three prizes were 3 grass energies.
Yeah. So he didn't lost on a grass energy. He just prized all of his 3 grass energy. It must have been a gold water energy that I was seeing as green. And that is time in the game as well. Tough game 2 for Nick there. So we are now 1-1 in the best of 7 between Nick and Emmett. And the interesting thing about this Giratina V-Star mirror is everybody wants to choose to go second.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. Is there anything else you could think in the mirror that would have been big?
Yeah,
I think players take bathroom breaks and stuff.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, there's a couple of things. As soon as you know it's a mirror, the Crisis Punch seems really good. The Vacuum actually seems really good because you can get to 7 first. The Mew EX would have been interesting, but probably not as good as something like the Crisis Punch. Even maybe a Temple would have been interesting to shut off your opponent's jet energies.
And to bump path.
Yeah.
Some way to control the path where if you can bump the path as you Roxanne, and then you Roxanne do Greninja and then Path again.
Yeah.
Some way to control that.
Yep.
V-Guard was the first thing that I thought of because 280 obviously is a big damage threshold. Crisis Punch, I think after you brought it up, is the most obvious one. I think that would have been the best individual card to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Just being able to create a single prize board state that creates a checkmate scenario for your opponent, essentially, as soon as they go down to one prize card, is interesting. Jirachi, I guess Sableye doesn't do as much in the mirror, but Jirachi can be an interesting thing as well. Anyway, I know that our players are setting up for game 3, so we will be right back with game 3.
Welcome back to the 1K money match at the Forge. Yeah, Cody, so let me ask you a question here.
I'm ready.
Going into this next game, what are you trying to do differently, if anything, for either player?
I want to see Nick check some prizes. First deck search, you have time. We talked about this before we started. You have time. If you're taking long, the word is pace. We're telling players pace, just one word. That means go faster. He has time. Just look. He would have been aware that he prized all of one type of basic energy if he had looked. Emmett, we're watching check prizes fairly thoroughly. Emmett's in a spot where he's been playing this deck like all format, I think.
Yeah.
So he can find like 4 to 6 of his prizes, probably 75 seconds or so.
All right. Let's get into it. Into game 3.
Gotta assume Nick chose to go second. Both
He
players
did,
seem
yes.
seem to understand that that's the play here. We see Nick start a comfy, so he's already in the lead.
Yeah. I'd love to see the comfy start. Get that comfy start. You got a Colress in your hand. You're feeling good. We'll see if he's got it like that.
I think he's checking both of those boxes.
Yeah. Hopefully he will check his prizes this time, like you were saying too.
Emmett's just playing good, fundamental Tina. Really don't have anything to say about it. Nick is also obviously playing fine, but he got destroyed by RN Jesus
Yeah.
last round.
Yeah, always a tough one, but that's why we're playing this best of 7 rather than a best of 3. That way, if you have, a crappy luck on a game, it's not a big deal in the long run.
Mm-hmm. It is Good Friday for us, bad game 2 for Nick.
Yeah. All right, we see Emmett with that Battle VIP pass in his opening hand. Could have saw wrong, but I believe he started a blue guy. I think it was the Greninja.
No matter which one, it's not the one you wanted.
That is for sure. Yeah, I
He's
know.
looking at a pretty good hand here, actually. He has the vacuum in his hand also. So if Emmett drops his only path, turn 1, trying to turn off Nick's Greninja, he has the immediate answer.
Yeah, it's something interesting to think about too is that for Nick, playing the first path of the game is like exponentially more valuable to him than it is for Emmett. Just because then any vacuum plays he can make with the path can net him
Plus
2
1.
cards in the lost zone rather than just 1 more.
We watched Emmett here use his Greninja before this VIP pass. He wants extra basics down. He also did it, though. He did the VIP before doing the comfy. Why do you think he would have done the Greninja but not the comfy?
Yeah, I don't know. I think typically you would draw cards before playing VIP because you want to see more Pokemon there. He didn't really hit any more Pokemon.
Did Emmett prize 2 jet energies and a water? Oh, never mind. The water's in the discard, but 2 jet energies is a pretty big prize. I think the comfy thing just has to come back to basic energy. Can you imagine doing a blind and comfy and throwing away your only copy of one of your basic energies?
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a word for people like that. Guzma. Game 2 Guzma.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's important. It's important to check your resources. That was the main thing I was saying going into this stream when the internet was down and no one heard us say anything. But I said definitely very important in this matchup specifically to be very aware of what your prizes are, so you don't look like a goofus going in there with your first Mirage Gate and going, whoops.
Tom and I were talking about that a bit. This is, I guess I would personally think that this is my favorite mirror in current standard. If you look at it on paper, it looks very basic. You have two, you have typically a 3/3 of this big thing that hits for 280. It's got 280, so like the math there is pretty obvious. But there's a lot of intricate things that go on in the mirror. There's a lot of tiny efficiency plays that you can do, like how we were just talking about this Greninja, then VIP, then Comfy. Even though all of these options were available to Emmett instantly, he did them all in that order because it's a tiny bit better to do it that way.
Yeah, every action he's taking has a specific purpose in the order he's going in. Yeah, I think this mirror is definitely one of the more skillful mirrors in the Paradox Rift format. There's quite a lot you have to play around, like you typically don't want to be the first person to go down to 3 prizes. But yeah, there's a lot of like little things here and there you can do to give yourself the edge over the other person. And Tom and I were saying we were pretty confident that whoever wins this best of 7 we can confidently say that they were the better Tina player.
Big thing to say.
Yeah.
Big thing to say because these are two people who've been playing Tina for weeks. And
Yeah,
I'm
months even.
sure they are. Yeah, actually. And I bet they are excited to tell the other one many times that they are, or at least were at this time, the better Tina player.
You know, the prize pool may be 1K, but the bragging rights are priceless.
That's true. Have you been thinking about that one all day?
No, I just came up with that on the spot. I'm
That's
built
good.
different like that.
That's good. All right. We see an immediate VIP from Nick. Re-examines his hand that he's had since he drew it. We want to see him count these basic energies.
Nothing wrong with pulling out some
I saw
Pokemon
a
to
grass
start.
and a psychic, so at least we're in the game that way. There's one grass, one psychic, two grass, two psychic, two water, two, three grass. Looks like he prized two psychics, a water, and possibly a jet.
Yeah, I think I only...
Nope, no jet. Nick immediately following up that VIP with a nest ball. All of these Pokemon are, of course, going straight to the bench. Nick not choosing to do the Greninja before, I would suspect because he's almost filling his bench, and that's probably all the Pokemon that he actually cares to get on this first turn. If he gets anything extra, I mean, he'll take it, but...
Yeah, pretty happy with that. The VIP nest ball, that's a pretty good start to the turn.
Nick, too, I thought had a Colress in his hand. If he does, I would actually like to see him take a Cramorant here, unless he prized it. I haven't seen him as he's been fanning through. Didn't see a Cramorant. It's actually a pretty big prize in the mirror, especially if you only play one copy of it.
Yeah. Especially if you play one copy and your opponent plays two copies.
That's double bad.
Double bad. I know you said you and Tom were talking about some potential other includes as their tech cards. What is your favorite tech card that either player did include?
That either player did include would probably be the second Cramorant by Emmett. Both players actually decided to include a forest. I like that. As we saw last game, it at least kept Nick in the game, whereas he was probably going to lose if he didn't play that.
Yeah, definitely. One more out to not breaking your opening hand.
We see two paths here. We see Nick immediately fan them away for this Colress. I'd actually like to see him keep one.
For the potential vacuum play later.
Mm-hmm. And he has a vacuum in hand right now. They both go away.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. But I guess also has the opportunity to find that Forest Seal Stone and vacuum that away instead too.
That's true. I guess if you prized your Cramorant, getting to 4 that way isn't a priority, but we know that he can already get to 4 because he has Comfy, Jet Energy, Comfy. This VIP pass, you have to think's not long for this game. Only has 1 bench space left, and it looked like the other card was a boss.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty easy choice to me.
Really debating on this one. The Cramorant was not in the deck, right? I didn't make that up.
I didn't see it, but it's possible that we missed it. I think that's the only that's the only thing I could see why he would be debating this is if it is in the deck.
It is kind of tough to tell what these cards are as players fan them out. Get a pretty fast look. Both players also play pretty different card arts. Emmett typically plays lowest arts of everything.
Yeah.
Kuzma not in that boat.
No, he likes to bling it out for sure. All right, so yeah, did end up pitching that VIP. Makes a lot of sense.
Looking like he's thinking about V-Star this time. It looks like the other cards are Roxanne. So he's got V-Star, Roxanne. It is a pickle, but one thing that would make this decision easier is if you knew if you prized any other V-Stars, which I didn't pay attention to, when Nick ran through his deck, but it's also not my duty to pay attention to if he prized any V-Stars. Roxanne's 2 of. And if he is ever finding himself behind in this game, it's a card he's definitely going to want access to at least once.
Definitely, yeah. And something to note, when I was sitting out there judging the last game, Emmett's got his notepad all laid out. Nick does not have a notepad, so Nick is not writing down any prizes. That doesn't mean to say that he couldn't be tracking them just in his head, but I think for me personally, that's kind of can be hard to do over like a long game. Prizes start to blend together, especially when you're playing something like a best of 7. So I think just giving yourself that little extra edge and writing down your prize cards every game
to
can
watch
make a lot of sense.
V-Star? Is he V-Starring right now? He has to know that the Cramorant's not in the deck. That is another Tina V. I continue to be perplexed by this game.
Yeah, I don't think there was much danger of his Tina V getting knocked out next turn. Emmett only being with 2 cards in the lost zone.
He would need Comfy, Colress, Pokemon Catcher.
Yeah, that's a lot to
Prime
ask
Catcher.
for. Yeah,
Doesn't exist yet.
not quite. Yeah, and not playing the vacuum of his own, so Nick doesn't really have to worry about that. We haven't seen it yet, so I think it's safe to assume that Emmett's not playing it in Nick's perspective.
Playing around a Cramorant KO here. I actually don't like that. Giving up the first KO allows you to, on the next turn, attack with the Tina V-Star. And then if Emmett is to KO your Tina V-Star, he puts himself into Roxanne range, which we saw Nick prioritize taking over that Tina V-Star. I would have liked to watch Nick invite the KO from a Cramorant onto that Comfy.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And then also just, allowing yourself to set up for a potential counter catcher play onto their Giratina. I think, yeah, and giving up that V-Star power could be a difference maker in this game. Sometimes at the end of a game, it's so much easier to just find 2 energy with 1 Mirage Gate rather than having to find the 3rd for the impact.
Tom and I talked about this a bit. It's way more difficult to establish 2 threats because Tina is now only a threat if it has 3 energies on it, whereas last game we saw Emmett with his wall of Tinas. He had 2 Tina V-Stars, each with the 2 energies to Requiem. And he had a Tina V that he left to Abyss in case he wanted to. And that is a threatening position to be in. There's no way through it. Whatever you bring up, if it's going to KO a Tina V-Star, it's going to get immediately KO'd back by a Requiem. So it's not like you can Roxanne path your way through it. As opposed to if you now need 3 energies on a Tina V-Star for it to threaten a return KO on a Tina V-Star, can't do it.
Can't do it, yeah. I think from the play we've seen so far, I think Emmett maybe has more experience dealing with the Tina mirror match. I think a lot of the decisions he's been making from what we've been seeing indicate that he's played this matchup a lot.
A lot of these are small things.
Yeah.
Things that on that turn you might not think it's a big deal to Greninja first and then VIP and then Comfy. Yeah, okay, whatever. But all of these things contribute towards a greater goal in the end.
Yeah, a lot of times, if you watch a game and you're a newer player and it seems like you're watching a good player and they're getting really lucky throughout the game, sometimes it is luck, but sometimes it's just the small micro decisions they've been making over the course of a game to put themselves in a position to either seem like they're getting lucky or to just be put themselves in a better spot.
It's the decisions we make along the way.
That's right. The decisions we make along the way.
Looks like we might watch Emmett. We might be watching Emmett go for a Cramorant. No, okay. I like this better. Nick has the Greninja in the active, and we watched him last turn very, very delicately count his 6 cards in his lost zone, almost as if he was wishing there were 7 of them. Emmett observed that and is foregoing getting the 110 damage onto Greninja in favor of getting Manaphy down to protect his bench from some would-be shurikens.
Yeah, and I mean, I even like that. Even just not taking a KO, like even if he had the opportunity to take a KO there, I think not taking a KO there makes a lot of sense. It makes things a lot more awkward for Nick this turn because his bench is full, so he has no way to get his own Cram or Sableye, for example, down. So his options this turn are either swinging for 90 damage into the Comfy with your Greninja, or you are likely going to have to like shred with a Tina. Those are kind of your two options here.
Neither one of those is good.
Neither one of those is very good.
Taking the KO on Comfy is going to have to require a gate.
Yeah.
Nick, of course, prize Cramorant. Actually, I think one of the worst things Nick could do this turn is take a prize.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you.
I think he should just jet Comfy into the active. Do it. Might be getting a talking to or something. Jet Comfy into the active. Do the Comfy. Maybe retreat into the other one, Comfy again, and just pass.
Yeah.
Let Emmett be the one who does everything first.
Yeah, and also you can set yourself up for like a boss on a Tina play at some point in the future as well. Yeah, it definitely seems a lot better than knocking out this Comfy.
Couldn't tell what that other card was, could you?
I think it was a Rod, possibly. I couldn't quite tell.
We are watching some pretty ugly Choruses. Choruses and Comfys this game. From both players.
Yeah. Last game I watched Nick's face as he chorused into like 3 supporters and like 2 other like good cards, and when Nick hits a tough chorus, he'll show it on his face for sure.
Nick is definitely one of the more
Expressive
animated
players.
characters that we have locally. Usually don't have to guess what he's thinking. It's usually right on his face.
Yeah. And, on polar opposite is Emmett, who I think his expression does not change a single time throughout a game.
Nope. Emmett could have prized a 3-3 Tina, and his face would be the same as it could ever be.
Yeah, definitely.
Emmett could be looking at his prizes thinking, I won't ever financially recover from this. But you'd never be able to tell by his face.
You would never be able to tell. Both players. Nick's going through his loss zone.
Questioning what could have been. Tina heads are also just built different. They I feel like there was a point in this last standard where people kind of disrespected Tina a lot.
Yeah.
And then there was a point where everyone loved it, and then everyone was kind of all over. But like the actual Tina heads, they never gave up.
Yeah.
They were there for all of it.
They're different beasts. I remember Emmett was really struggling trying to figure out what to play to the Pittsburgh regional. And this was like definitely before Tina was like super good. And I was trying to convince him to play Tina. I was playing Tina to Pittsburgh. He ended up on Guardy. He was just like, Tina's just not for me. But a couple weeks later, he picked it up and never put it down. Yeah, some players find their deck in a format, and they just stick with it, and they see a lot of success. Both these players have definitely done pretty well with Tina this season. Nick has top cutted quite a few. I think Nick has by far cutted the most cups with Tina compared to any other deck.
Yeah, I think he's on some kind of streak. He's like 5 or 6 consecutive top 8s or better with Tina. Emmett, I think, won a cup with Tina.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been playing Stalo formats, so anytime I see Emmett at a cup, I know that's just an auto L.
All right, the passes continue.
Yeah, it's kind of just a game of chicken here. Who's going to take the first prize?
Waiting for someone to have the combination of Gate plus Jet plus Boss's Orders, KO Tina V-Star. Guzma seems to have at least 2 of those pieces right now.
All right. We see a Rod coming in. Nick's going to shuffle back in a Grass and a Psychic Energy. And Mirage gated on to the Tina V-Star. Does this tell us he's got the boss in hand? I would imagine so.
I'm going to guess he does. I know there's at least the Roxanne. So Nick over there anxiously waiting for a track to explode on.
All right, yeah, I see the boss's orders. I see an energy in hand.
See the switch?
See the switch. We're going to see a flower selecting too.
Oh, easy one. Finally,
Easy pitch.
finally an easy choice on flower selecting. Hopefully he doesn't try to Requiem. That would obviously not be great.
Yeah, gonna
Just a
need
bit
to
of a
see
debate
the
on that.
attach from hand here. Which we will. Just maybe debating whether he wants to attach that Grass or attach that Psychic. We already see a Grass in the Lost Zone, so
Probably going to be...
2 Psychic.
What type was it that he prized? See, this is why... Just take a little notes. Couple
Yeah.
notes. We determined he prized 1 basic energy, I think. He's checking his discard. Maybe it was a water.
I think it might
Hopefully it wasn't grass. No, it wasn't a grass. So
did take the cram off of that. Not going to be too relevant at this point, probably.
nope, definitely wanted that several turns ago. Do see a scenario where... Well, never mind. Nick only plays 1 Sableye, which both of them do. So, not going to be able to take too much advantage of all the 1 prizers that in play on Emmett's board. Emmett's hand's pretty live.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good cards to work with. Does he have that? He's got a Culver's, so just going to need to find that Tina V-Star. Just shuffled 1 back, so...
We could have watched Emmett use Greninja first. I'm a little surprised we didn't. Debating throwing that path away. I think he's probably safe to throw the path at this point.
Gonna go with the rope instead, though. Maybe valuing just turning off Nick's Greninja next turn.
There's his own Rod as well. If he's gonna conceal cards at all, he might as well do it now. Get an
Yeah.
energy in the discard, where you can then put it back into the deck.
Gonna do 1 more flower selecting first.
Oof. Yeah, it has to be the jet.
I think that's pretty okay.
Plenty of
things
switches left,
considered.
yeah.
Needs to find that V-Star. Did not find that V-Star. Could choose. Well, yeah, I don't.
That's his hand is like 12 cards. He's gone through his deck pretty far at this point. No V-Star.
Yeah, nothing that cool to do this turn.
There's 1 V-Star we saw. I wonder if he prized 3rd V-Star. Oh, no. There's actually V-Star in his Lost Zone, too. So there's V-Star Lost Zone.
All right.
1 V-Star in the deck, it looked like. So 1 V-Star is prized. He's going to have to now Lost Impact this Tina. Both players are going to be pretty low on energies by the time this game is done. I
Yeah,
wonder if the Cramorant's actually going to have to come back in just to get damage down.
we might see that. Yeah, Emmett's board is. Well, he's still got 4 prizes left, so not in Roxanne range. We know Nick doesn't play that Iono, so.
Emmett, too, we just saw him, I think, not take a V-Star off prizes. So if Guzma's able to get a KO together on this V-Star, we might have to see Emmett waste a Rod that isn't getting back a lot of energy. It's probably just going to end up getting back V-Star 1 energy. Good to see Emmett start to run out of energies by the time this game is done.
Yeah, that's true, but does still have. I don't think he ever ended up playing that Path of the Peak now, so
He did not.
could choose to conceal cards before
that's true.
rotting, get a little extra value.
We see Guzma pulling out that Sableye. Sableye this turn doesn't actually feel that bad. If he has a rod available to him, he could Sableye even just to go for a 2-price turn over 2 turns.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's great. Guzma could also sniff out that Emmett's pretty low on V-Stars. He could just throw some damage onto that Tina V in the back.
Yeah, I think, looking at this game, I think I like going for the Tina V-Star here from Nick's perspective.
KOing V-Star with V-Star seems very good.
Seems pretty good. I think I'd like to see that over a Sableye play if possible. We'll see if he's able to get there.
Guzma debating that concealed cards. If he's going to go for the Poke Gear, I would like to see him conceal cards first. So he has a rod in his hand.
Right.
That was an extremely good.
That was busted.
Ninja.
All right, I'm going to see the gear come down.
Hang the gear. He mustn't have a chorus in his hand. It looked like he did. Oh. It looked like he did, but full art supporters kind of all look the same.
Yeah. At least the choruses are a little more spottable with that striped blue background. There's that art of the choruses. All right, yeah, pretty good concealed cards for Nick. Pretty good Poke Gear. Happy to see that chorus.
If Nick is going to go for this KO on Tina V-Star, I'd like to see him just commit to it. Examine the energies available to him, gate, do everything. That way your chorus is not drawing any basic energies if it doesn't need to.
Yeah, definitely. Just again, one of those. We were talking about the small things to do to optimize your Tina gameplay, but that's not even a small thing. That's like a pretty.
This is a big one.
That's
There
a pretty
better not
big
be
one.
any basic energies here. Just a jet, which I'm sure he's still going to end up keeping that jet. Energies are too valuable at this point for both of these players. Not even sure what the other cards are. I got two starstruck by that jet energy.
Yeah, so this is a non-typical format that we're playing in today, a best of 7. It isn't often that players play best of 7s. How much does a player's like mental state come into play in something in a set this long?
You have to think a lot. So Caleb and I, when we get together just to grind out games, we'll play like a best of 3 of best of 3s, which at that point is up to a best of 9 kinda, if you think of it that way. Unless he 2-0s me over and over and over again, then it's less than that. But you definitely do blend games together. You think, oh, did I prize this game, or was that last game, or I forgot all these things. Games will eventually just blend together here. So, checking prizes and taking a few notes, watching that rod get revealed again by Judge Tom. I actually don't know why. Tina V is in the deck.
It is in the deck.
Well, if you were going to put the Tina V back, I don't get why the Sableye's in play. Because that would be way better served as a Tina V in that spot on your bench than the Sableye. But I do think this turn is ending with the optimal attack being performed here. But it's too bad Sableye's taking up that space.
Yeah, he's had that in play, I think, for a couple turns now, though, so. Yeah, we all know what's coming next. He's gonna take these 2 prizes.
That's his last grass energy. He better not. 344. That's his last grass energy. That's 3 grass energies gone, isn't it?
That is indeed 3 grass energies gone. So maybe a little bit of like we were talking about, maybe a little bit of a mental error.
We just watched Emmett fan out to confirm that that was 3 grass energies. It was. Nick can no longer attack with a Giratina this game. So as long as Emmett can run Nick out of Sableye, Nick getting Roxanne here as well. Big oversight there.
Yeah, that's the kind of mistake that you just simply can't make in these games. Nick went from what I would call a pretty decent position to win this game to a pretty poor position here.
Yeah,
basically threw pretty hard here.
That was. I don't see a way out of that. Let me just open up deck list and confirm. 3 grass energies.
Yeah.
Both players actually playing the same 14 energies. Emmett's just gonna clear the board, it looks like. Gonna set up for possibly a 3 prize turn. Because he can't take 3 next turn. Might end up taking 2 next turn, but either way, Emmett can basically do whatever he wants now. Once again, though, Nick is going to Roxanne back after Roxanne, which is pretty cool. But
yeah,
both players playing 4 jet, 4 psychic energy, 3 grass energy, and 3 water energy. Also getting low on time here. There's a minute and 45 seconds left in this game 3.
Yeah, time's coming down pretty quickly here. If Emmett finishes his turn soon, he should have enough turns left to win this game.
Yeah, the only way I see Nick winning this game is being in the lead at the end of time +3. But that's going to involve some gymnastics here for
some
sure.
Cramorant shenanigans somehow, or some Sableye, I guess. I don't know.
That is, does Emmett have another rod available to him? Actually, I don't know if he does.
I
Poke
don't
Gear
know.
off the top though is
That's pretty good.
Would have liked to see the Comfy first. Comfy first would have gotten him, I think, almost through his entire deck. That's a boss. That's not the supporter that he wanted. Definitely is not.
Yeah, I mean, would have liked to find his own cram here.
He also had a gate. I don't know if he had any basic energies. Now to see the Comfy hitting that super rod, he needs to take that.
Rod, yeah.
Oh.
Said nah.
In that case, I would have definitely liked to see the Comfy before the Poke Gear last time.
Yeah, definitely. Gonna play that
The
Roxanne. That's pretty
after
good.
Roxanne's. And now to see
Yeah.
the gate after all of that,
I think
we're
that
seeing
was
some breakdown
definitely
and some gameplay
missequencing.
stuff here from Emmett at this point. Emmett also dangerously low on energy. We saw him lose that rod just there. Time is also being called. Make sure that everyone is aware time was called. Emmett losing the rod, played a rod earlier. He has a psychic energy in his deck. It looked like that was his last type energy though. Emmett getting very low on cards, very low on energy. We predicted this one a mile away. Emmett pointing out that he played a gate this turn. I don't see a way out of this one.
Yeah.
Emmett needs to draw a gate without drawing the psychic energy and draw a jet energy in order to gate the psychic, jet the Tina. But even then, when he attacks, he has to lose jet and the water energy from this Comfy in order to be able to attack again next turn. I don't see it.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Emmett. Certainly, if he had played maybe a little bit faster and kept one of those rods, could have had this game in the bag after Nick pitched that.
Emmett drew an extremely dead
grass
hand.
energy. Yeah.
Drew 3 supporters. 2 Pokemon that even if he had the bench space, he wouldn't want to play. He's already comfied. Have to think he would. I guess the logic for keeping the Comfy is if he hit the gear and hit the Roxanne. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick just has boss for game.
Nick just got it like that.
Man, that was a tight set. I did not think Nick was going to come away with that.
If we were supposed to guess a while ago, Nick was cooked out of that game as soon as he threw his third grass energy away. But the laws of time prevail.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let our players shuffle up for game 4, and we'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
All right, we are back with game 3. Nick is up 2-1 on Emmett. And Emmett, of course, having lost round 3, his choosing to go second seems to be the way in the Tina mirror. Definitely correct. You want to be able to abyss seeking.
Yeah.
But it looks like one mulligan here so far from Emmett, but Nick is getting set up and hoping not to prize good things again. The round 2, Nick prized all three of his grass energy.
That was tough.
Round 2 prized that Cramorant, so he couldn't do much on that first turn. But it looks like Nick does have a pretty good hand for turn 1 here. Let's see what he started. Could it be a comfy?
Yeah, something to note here too. We have seen more Star Alchemies than we have seen Star Requiems. This set.
That's true. That's true. A very good tech for not only the mirror match, but again, going into this next format, we're seeing a lot of these Tinas play that Forest Sealstone because there just aren't a lot of matchups, or there are enough matchups where you don't need to use that Star Abyss, Star Requiem, and you can use that Star Alchemy instead. Nick starting off with a Giratina V. I believe he's got at least one VIP pass in hand and a switch cart. He's also got a Jet Energy and that Forest Sealstone. So going to have a pretty good turn 1 here for Nick. Battle VIP pass, I imagine, will go find 2 comfies, and he'll be able to use, because of that Jet Energy, at least 2 flower selectings on this turn 1.
Yeah, definitely the start you want to see if you're a Giratina player on turn 1. VIP Jet, pretty good. We'll see. Gonna go through, check his energies real quick.
I was going to say, I see some grass energy, so he's not in too much trouble this time.
He is looking like he might elect to take, instead of 2 comfies, take a comfy and a Greninja. Seemed like he had a decent amount of energy in hand. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like just getting those cards in the Lost Zone early is a little bit better.
Especially when you're playing the vacuum, as long as you just get 2 flower selectings in on turn 1, you can get to 7 turn 2 pretty easily. And he knows he already has that Forest Sealstone, so Forest Sealstone could even just be used to find the vacuum to get to 7 on turn 2, or find, your Colress, whatever you need it to find. But just getting 2 comfies in is good. Maybe he's assuming I can comfy here, use Greninja, maybe draw into another VIP pass so that, I don't know. He also has the Forest Sealstone that he could use to get a second VIP pass if he really wants to.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
you just go for 2 comfies.
You just go for 2 comfies. Definitely feel it. You conceal cards. Yeah, conceal cards away the Psychic here. Makes sense.
Just find the Pokegear off that, so that could help find a Colress on turn 2. Jet Energy, comfy, active. I'm going to see this first flower selecting. Grass Energy and Tina V-Star.
It's going to pitch the V-Star. Makes sense.
Could we see a Star Alchemy here for VIP pass?
Yeah, I think he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
He could technically get to 3 this turn, although the VIP pass in this mirror might find Comfy plus Manaphy. That seems to be sort of the board state that both these players are trying to put together. Radiant Greninja, Tina, Comfy, and a Manaphy. But did Nick prize the Manaphy? 1 Comfy coming down. And there's the Cramorant. So either not respecting the Radiant Greninja yet, which is fair. It's only turn 1. Emmett can't get to 7 turn 1. Or maybe he did prize the Manaphy. I didn't quite see it in the deck.
I did not see it in the deck. I think he might have prized it. But all right, we're going to see a retreat into 1 more flower selecting, and that should be it for the turn.
Nick with those deep riffles.
So, Tom, let me ask you, how much time have you put into Lost Tina in this Paradox Rift format?
In the Paradox Rift format, precisely 0 amount of time. I respected it as a deck that I didn't want to lose to with the decks I was playing, but it wasn't something that I was interested in playing myself. Despite the fact that it kind of got to the point where it was almost BDIF in the Paradox Rift format. How about you?
Yeah, I played it. I didn't play it in the Paradox Rift format. I played it to Pittsburgh, to pretty poor success. I did not do too well on it, and then I was like, I'm never playing Giratina again. But yeah, then it quickly became a meme deck into BDIF, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And still seems like not that bad next format. I definitely don't think it's as strong, but I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it remains strong. Anything that has a pretty good Charizard matchup is good, and it gained the 2 exact cards that it really needs to continue having a good Zard matchup in both Maximum Belt and the Iron Leaves EX. Without Path and without those cards, I think it would struggle. But it lost the Path to the Peak, but gained a couple cards that helped that matchup as well.
Yeah, even though it doesn't have Path, still has that counter catcher Roxanne, which is always going to be pretty powerful. And yeah, the Sableye stocks have been way down lately, but you know, if Jirachi start getting cut next format, maybe we'll see Lost Tina doing some more things.
For sure. And just taking a look at these prize cards here, doing a great job of taking note of all 6 of his prizes every game.
Yeah, very meticulous prize note taking from Emmett every time. Definitely still quick about it too. Gets it done in that 2 minutes. That's generally accepted for your first deck search. Yeah, I know he worked pretty hard on practicing that. I think he's gotten quite good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, gonna decide to go with 2 comfies. Makes sense.
I didn't get a great look at the rest of Emmett's hand. I'm not sure if he had a Colress or what that hand was looking like, but never sad to see a VIP pass for double comfy. You just hope you have the cards to be able to start using them.
Yeah, we'll see if he's got that jet energy in hand. So good. So good, in fact, that's like a $4 card now.
Yeah. Not only
crazy.
did he have a Colress, I believe he had 3 Colress in that hand as well.
Well, you're pretty happy to see that,
Yeah.
you know Nick isn't playing the Iono. You are playing the Iono, so
Yep.
no worries about getting your hand disrupted for a while now. So having all those Colresses in your hand is about as good as you could ask for.
And kind of a tough Colress here into Tina V Star, Iono, and a Jet and a Psychic. Emmett keeping the V and the V Star and the Jet. Makes sense. Jet allowing him to get use out of both of those comfies on his bench. Getting rid of the Iono is a little sad. Now Nick knows that he's not going to get disrupted until he gets to 3 prize cards taken. But sometimes you got to do that. But I think we are just going to see an Abyss Seeking here.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Could have chosen to.
Ooh, that's a rough Abyss Seeking.
Ooh, that's a lot of energy.
Jet and Escape Rope going to the Lost Zone and passes it over to Nick. Nick with only 2 in the Lost Zone right now, but we know he does play that Lost Vacuum, so he could potentially get to 7. And if he could get the Greninja play off on those 2 comfies, you have to imagine he's very favored from there. He does have the Mirage Gate, at least one of them already in hand, and the Water Energy. And starting out with a Colress for turn.
Yeah, Emmett had that Manaphy in hand and did not want to play it down, decided not to play the Manaphy. And depending on what is in Nick's hand, that could be a mistake.
He's got double Gate. I believe that Colress found him VIP pass, a double Jet, and a Gate and another Colress. Chose to get rid of the Jet and the VIP pass.
He found a path and gear.
Getting rid of that Poke Gear, favoring the path. Can he find that Lost Vacuum, though? Gonna need to... has the Jet instead of using the Switch Cart. Finds Nest Ball Psychic off of the next flower selecting. So no lost vacuum here. So only going to stay at 6 after this. The question is it worth spitting into this Giratina V? I guess you have to imagine it is, because if he doesn't find the V-Star, you can just spit again for knockout. But sometimes that damage feels wasted if it's not going on to something that, you're either taking one shot into or can finish off with Sableye later. And if this Giratina evolves, it's just kind of a waste of that damage a little bit.
Yeah. You think you would have held in that position?
I don't know. You just kind of have to get the damage on board anyway. It feels really bad to pass there.
Yeah.
But you also kind of know, like Emmett's got the V-Star in hand. He's going to probably not end with that Giratina V just in the active again. So that damage is probably going to end up going to waste, and you're kind of giving up your only attacker here as well. I think what I would have liked to see is a choice of going for the Comfy on that first turn over the Greninja, because I think that really sealed the fate of not being able to get that Lost Vacuum to 7 playoff. He could have saved that Force Seal Stone to use the Force Seal Stone to find the vacuum, and instead he had to use it for that second VIP pass.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out. Would have had that one more card in the Lost Zone for sure, yeah. And it's, these small things that happen at the beginning of a game, they can really shape like the mid game and how well positioned you are.
Looks like Emmett's just going to go in with his own Cramorant here, spit instantly KO on that Cramorant, and that Tina V did not evolve into a V-Star quite yet. Maybe Emmett is going to choose to do that, but leaving himself open to a counter catcher Cram Spit.
Yeah.
If Nick can recycle it, I don't think he has that play in hand right away, but it is something that he could try to build towards. And that would, I think, be a very strong play here. Being able to knock out a 2-prizer with 1-prizer in this mirror is very strong. However, he is getting to the point where he might need to think about leaving a bench space open for that Manaphy as well.
Yeah. Also has the option, I suppose, of if he can't recycle that Cram, if he finds a vacuum, could get to 10 in the Lost Zone and go for that Sableye.
That's true. You're going to see Radiant Greninja finds, I believe it was Super Rod and Gate off of that concealed cards. Does have a Colress in hand, but maybe waiting on that if he finds a boss and a way to get back that Cramorant. That might be something that he's trying to build towards. Choosing to keep, I believe, a switch over grass. Yeah. One of the things Nick has struggled with so far in this series is that energy management. Game 2 was tough. You can't really manage your energy if all of them are in your prizes.
That's for sure.
But there have been a few games where he's ended up with so many energies in the Lost Zone that he's had a tough time with the Mirage Gates. But choosing to let go of that grass, I believe that is the first basic energy into the Lost Zone for Nick. So not a bad thing to lose there. He is at 7 now. Switch cart going to get him to 8. Choosing, what did he hold over that switch card on that flower selecting?
I couldn't quite tell.
But this Colress will get him to 10, and he does have the Sableye already in hand. We know he has the gates to get the energy if he needs to use the gate to do that. Colress for Boss, Rod, Roxanne, Water, and Jet. Looks like he's eyeing up getting rid of the Jet and the Water, and that is what he does. Those are all very good cards that you don't want to get rid of, so that's a tough Colress decision there.
Yeah, I guess now that Emmett has the Manaphy down, the Water's become a little bit less important.
The thing is with the Sableye, you could even, this is crazy, because you probably do just knock out the Giratina V with your own Sableye here, but you could also, start spreading out damage and say, I'm going to KO the Giratina V when he uses it anyway, so use that Sableye to take out the Manaphy, set up some damage on, Cramorant or something, and then you can Greninja on the following turns. But it's probably also just right to go after the Vs as quickly as possible before they can turn into V-Stars.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Just don't overthink it. Just go for the knockout there with your 1 prize or taking 2 prizes. Pretty good. I think maybe if Nick played 2 Sableyes, I think I would like
Yeah,
that a little bit more. Is trying to spread
true.
a little bit.
It's hard to recycle it when you only play the one.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, Nick does have the switch in hand to switch into the Sableye. So imagine that. Sableye's Lost Mine. Going to spread 12 damage counters around the board. 11 of them going to be going to that Giratina V, and 1 left over. Where are you putting that one?
I think I'd put it on the Manaphy personally.
I agree. That's the where it's most likely to stick.
All right, so is choosing to take the KO and one of the Manaphy. I think, to me, that seems like the right play.
So Nick taking the first 2 prizes in this game. No Iono left for Emmett. Did send it to the Lost Zone on the last turn. So no fear of being disrupted quite yet. Pretty good Colress here for Emmett. Finds a Mirage Gate. Easy choice of sending that Battle VIP pass to the Lost Zone. We're going to have to decide what the second card is. And I think it's going to be that Nest Ball potentially. Although he does need the Nest Ball to get another Giratina V down, I think, on this turn.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy in his hand.
Might even need to go find the Greninja to start getting some of that energy out of the
Yeah.
hand. I think deciding between Switch Cart and Colress on what is going to go to the Lost Zone here.
Gonna pitch the Switch Cart. I think that is probably fine. And Nest Ball, likely seeing another Giratina possibly.
Eyeing up the
Besides going for
Greninja.
Okay.
Nick does not have Manaphy in play, so Greninja could take out Sableye plus Comfy on this turn, which seems like a pretty good play for Emmett if he can get enough energy back into the deck to use that Mirage Gate. He does have energy in hand to attach the Greninja, water energy in hand, so he would only need to use 1 Mirage Gate if he also has the switching effect, but it doesn't look like he has that. He pitched that Switch Cart in favor of the Colress and might be regretting that by the end of this turn, where he might have to use 2 Mirage Gates to get into this Greninja. But nope, conceal cards right into the other Switch Cart.
The question is, does he have the other water in the deck?
And we know that Emmett has been keeping track of this stuff very well in his notes, so he's going to know whether or not he's got it. And if it's just going to be a retreat out into this Cramorant, so must not have it on that turn, or just would rather attack with the Cramorant maybe.
Yeah, I think, though, something to keep in mind with this spit, it does give Nick the opportunity to put his own Manaphy down this turn.
Yeah. Nick, I believe, does have a boss's orders in hand as well, so I think that Giratina V is in danger on this next turn. I guess it makes sense. Emmett wasn't in a position where he wanted to go to 3 prize cards remaining either and allow Nick to Roxanne.
Sure.
His board just is not strong enough to allow that at this point, I think.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call out.
You see a water energy attachment for turn onto this Giratina V-Star, and the boss's orders is in hand. So that is going to put Emmett in a really tough position, especially if Nick can combine this with getting a Manaphy down, because that means there's no way for Emmett to take 2 prizes next turn.
You see the rod for Sableye double Psychic. Nick just planning on his turn. Gonna play a Nest Ball. Choosing to get the Sableye down. I don't know. I feel like I would have liked to see the Manaphy instead.
Yeah, I think the Sableye is a really tough choice here. I guess, did you see the Manaphy in deck? Because we had started the game assuming that Nick might have prized that Manaphy.
That's true. It was hard to tell. I'm not sure.
But it is, if he didn't prize the Manaphy, this is the turn to definitely get it down. The only way for Emmett to take 2 prizes on the following turn is with that Radiant Greninja. We're going to see that water energy on the Giratina V-Star. Boss's orders on the Giratina V. Yeah. Oh, it was the Mirage Gate got Psychic to Sableye, Water Energy to Giratina, then attach for turn, Water to Giratina. And I imagine those 2 Water Energies are going right to the Lost Zone.
Yep. All right, and we see the KO. Nick goes down to 2 prizes left. Yeah, Emmett's in a bit of a tough spot here.
He does have the Greninja play this turn, though, as long as he's got that energy in deck for it. He didn't go for it last turn, probably trying to avoid that Roxanne, but he can tie up the prize trade here with that Greninja. I think the turn Emmett is looking for here is get Giratina V down, power up Greninja, Roxanne, take 2 prizes.
Yeah, makes sense. Checking his opponent's discard.
Does he have the Roxanne, though? I'm not sure he has the Roxanne yet. Comfy into Counter Catcher Mirage Gate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're assuming you're tying up the prize trade here, Counter Catcher might not be super necessary for the rest of the game.
That's true. Could also choose to counter catcher up that Giratina V-Star on the bench with no energy. That could put Nick in an even tougher spot if he gets Roxanne. But it doesn't look like he's going to find it.
Lots of energy in that hand for Emmett. Is it going to be a Sableye here for Emmett if he can't quite get to the Greninja? I'm trying to see.
Yeah,
I wonder, is it no Rod is the limiting factor maybe of getting... No, he does have Rod. He just doesn't have
way to
the
find,
Roxanne.
Yeah, no Roxanne, no way to find that Giratina, I think.
Choosing to use the boss over the counter catcher here. Interesting play.
I think that's...
He's got another boss in hand, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going to see the Super Rod come down. Oh, maybe not. Super Rod back, Water, and Psychic. All that energy in hand really messing up Emmett's game plan here a little bit.
Yeah, that's something about Giratina that can be really, really awkward. If you just seal your energy too early off those flower selectings, off those Colruses, can make some of these later turns a little bit more awkward.
Back in my day when I played Giratina V-Star, when it still had Scoop Up Net, I always liked one Ultra Ball.
Yeah,
just so you could,
to get rid of those energies.
It was nice to be able to get rid of those energies, as well as it was just another way to find your V-Stars. It was, but yeah, it could really fix these awkward hands at times.
Yeah, kind of funny thinking about the Scoop Up Net era Giratina. Which was a pretty popular. I mean, it was not an unpopular deck, but it was just so outclassed by some of the other decks at the time. So
it was really good when it first came out, and then Lugia came out so quickly after Lost Origin came out, and just Tina couldn't do anything against Lugia. It's a terrible matchup. And it looks like we are going to see this Sableye play here from Emmett. I imagine 8 coming down onto Nick Sableye and 4 somewhere else.
Yeah. Probably just maybe a comfy Greninja.
Yeah, Greninja makes it so that his Greninja can KO Nick's Greninja now.
Sure.
But no Roxanne puts Nick in a very powerful position here, I think. Despite the fact that he's going to probably have to just swing with the Tina V-Star into a 1 prize, or he's going to go down to 1 prize card remaining. And Emmett does not have anything on his board that can deal with a Tina.
Yeah, I think if I'm Nick, you probably want to try to establish enough energies on your board here, so that way when you get Roxanne, you can still attack.
Yeah. Get that Manaphy down if you can. He's only got 2 prize cards remaining now, so if that Manaphy was prized, you hope you've gotten it by now. But there obviously is a chance you don't, and it is in that hand. So I think we got to see that Manaphy come down on this turn. And there it is.
We'll see it.
The awkward part about having used that Forest Seal Stone as your V-Star power for the game, though, here is you really would like to use that Star Requiem here just to save some energies, but I think Nick is still in a pretty good position. A lot of that energy in hand and attaching extras to this Tina V-Star and going to put him in a very good spot. Can he combine all this with Roxanne? He can. Nick putting together the sort of turn that Emmett was hoping to have on the last turn.
Yeah, pretty strong. Although this does give Emmett a chance to find his own Roxanne, I guess.
Yeah. The best thing you can say for Emmett now is at least all that energy isn't in his hand.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Nick's doing him a favor here. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what Emmett draws into here. A lot of dead cards in his deck. A lot of cards he really doesn't want to see.
I can't believe it was 2 Tina V-Stars. Yeah. All right, and we're just going to see the Lost Impact, I think, coming down here. Getting rid of a Psychic and a Grass. Going to take that knockout on the Sableye. And Nick going down to 1 prize card remaining. Top deck for Emmett. It's just a Grass energy. What can this Comfy find him? And it is the Roxanne, and he gets rid of the Roxanne to hold on to that boss orders and boss up the Giratina V Star that doesn't have any energies on it. But Nick does have that Mirage Gate in hand. And we know, I believe Nick still has some energies left that could be in deck to Mirage Gate.
What did he keep over that Tina switch card, it looks like?
I think so. Nick has Boss's Orders, Roxanne, and Colress. What he really needs, I think one of the reasons Emmett may have bossed that Tina is I have a feeling Nick is getting very low on switching effects.
Yeah.
He's down at least 3 switch, I believe, and several jet energies. 3 switch, 1 switch card. That's all of his switching effects, I believe.
Yeah,
and then
3 jets at
4,
least down. Is he down 4?
I'm trying.
I see 1 in
I see
Lost
one in
Zone,
the
and there was
Lost, yeah.
definitely at least 2 in the discard. We'll see a boss's orders of his own. Bringing up that Manaphy. Is he just
Has Emmett counted carefully enough to know that Nick just doesn't have enough energy to get this Giratina V-Star out of the active ever? Not playing that way, though. If he was confident that Nick couldn't get this Giratina V-Star out of the active, I would assume Emmett would just pass until Nick decks out.
Yeah, he's got the Pokegear. He's got a Colress in hand.
All Nick needs is a jet energy, and it seemed like he has one left.
Yeah, we'll see it when he's going through his deck one more time here.
Couldn't quite see it.
Gonna play that Roxanne. I guess it's possible that last prize card is his last jet.
Yeah. See what Nick gets off this. Mirage Gate, Psychic Energy.
Yeah, definitely can't do anything with that.
Yeah, I think Emmett's plan is to just go to town with Sableye now with that Giratina V-Star trapped. Does he have a way to find it? He does have the Nest Ball. Has Mirage Gate in hand, has enough energy to use it. I think we're going to start seeing Sableye spreading damage, and this could have been a very smart move from Emmett to win this game from way behind. Trapping that Giratina V-Star in the active with no more switching outs for Nick.
Yeah, just a clinic on how, no matter how out Giratina looks,
I know.
just always can find a way to weasel back into the game. Yeah, and all really Emmett needs to win next turn is an energy to take 2 prizes on those comfies.
What can Nick draw into here for turn? He's got Cramorant.
That's not going to do it.
He just doesn't have the energy in deck. Otherwise, he could attach. He could attach for turn, Mirage Gate, retreat into the Cramorant, but he just doesn't have it. And I think Emmett is about to win this game with Greninja. I mean, if you're Nick, you just have to play the Mirage Gate and hope an energy magically ended up in your deck, even if you don't think it's there.
Yeah, you lose next turn regardless.
Yeah, nothing
in
no
there.
switching effects left for Nick in that deck.
Yeah, well calculated play by Emmett there. He saw the line and he took it. Just showing that he has a lot of mastery in this mirror match. He's seems like he has a lot of time spent practicing this mirror match.
And the funny thing there is, Nick could have prevented that. He over attached to that Giratina V-Star, thinking it would win him the game, and it actually lost him the game.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
just overextended his hand a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, on that second to last turn for Nick, when he took that KO with the Giratina V-Star, he attached 4 energy to the active Giratina V-Star, and then Emmett was able to look through Nick's discard pile in the Lost Zone and realize you're out of switching effects, and there's no. If I trap this bench Giratina V-Star with no energy on it, there's nothing you can do. And unfortunately for Nick, that was the case, and Emmett was able to run him off the board with that Sableye.
Yeah, well, these have been some pretty good games so far, and we'll have to keep it going in the rest of this set here.
Absolutely. We will be right back with Game 5 of this best of 7. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. We are getting into our game 5 here between Nick and Emmett in this $1,000 money match of the Giratina V-Star Mirror here in this Paradox Rift format. Tied up 2-2 after 4 rounds, 3 to go. Who will take it down? Unsurprisingly, whoever has gone second in every game has won in the Giratina V-Star Mirror.
Yep, about what you would expect. Both players have also won a game that they really had no business being in.
Yeah, absolutely. That just goes to show how powerful things like Roxanne and Countercatcher and Sableye are in this mirror. Emmett with a pretty good turn 1 here, even though he's gone first, has 2 cards in the Lost Zone. Pretty well-developed board state, and Nestball here probably going to find him that first Giratina V. Emmett doing a very good job of prize checking throughout this whole series. Yeah.
He floats his Pokemon and energy, and then after he does that, he separates all the energy out. He counts them. It's fast. It's just 4, 4, 3, 3 as he goes through it. You can watch him mumbling to himself as he goes. What's he got here? Prized a Jet. Psychic's already gone. 2 grass, it looks like. That's not good.
Yeah, that is rough.
We saw Nick lose to prizing 3 grass earlier. Emmett does have one of those in hand, so it's really only 1 grass that he prized.
Trying to get a look at those Pokemon, however. Looks like a few Tina V pieces might be prized. Maybe 1 V and 1 V-Star. I didn't quite get a great look.
I prize checked for Nick as he was going, and I saw that he prized a V-Star, and then on his first comfy last game, he threw a V-Star, and I instantly was like, what world is this?
Hey, who needs more than 1 V-Star?
You're right.
When you have Super Rod.
You got me there. Yeah, Emmett is expeditiously able to determine at least the big things. Have to think he goes through. I would think he's probably not even looking at stadiums. If he finds them, he finds them, but definitely not a priority thing that he's thinking about. Probably goes straight to Colress, Boss, Roxanne, and just confirms that the Iono's in there. Maybe does everything, honestly. That's one big piece of value from playing one deck for a long time.
Yeah.
You can check your prizes pretty fast. One thing I would also like to point out is he checks them the same way every time.
Well practiced. Yeah. Seeing a Pokegear here from Nick when he's already got a Colress in hand is an interesting utilization of an important resource later in the game. However, does find him that boss's orders.
That's something that he wants. Maybe Pokegear for Colress to dissuade Emmett from wanting to play the Iono turn 2. Looking for some possible lines of logic here. So if you watch your opponent have to Pokegear for Colress, you might think that that's the only Colress that they have. But
does have second Pokegear in hand, and
is he going to play them both?
If he plays both, all right, then you're correct. He is Pokegearing for Colress, so that Emmett doesn't Iono him. That is the only explanation I'll accept at this point. To use 2 Pokegears when you already have Colress in hand.
Thinning your hand, which is not what you would like to thin as much as you would like to thin the deck.
I just think those Pokegears are so valuable when you get Roxanne later.
We've watched a lot of Roxanne into
Roxanne
into
Yeah.
Roxanne. That is tougher to do if you can only draw Roxanne. You can't draw a Pokegear.
Colress coming down from Nick here. Going to look at the top 5 cards of his deck. Looks like another Colress found there. Cramorant, Psychic Energy, Countercatcher, but no ball search. And I think that's what his hand was struggling with here, is no ways of finding more Pokemon. I don't believe I see any nest balls or VIP passes in that hand, and none of those are in that Colress either. So going to be relying on that Comfy's flower selecting to find something like a nest ball or a VIP pass. Neither of which was found off of that Comfy. Emmett in a very good position here this game. Nick with only a Cramorant and a Comfy on that bench. Could bench Sableye, but...
Oh, he has the vacuum. I wonder if he has a stadium in his hand. Or even the forest.
I believe he has the forest seal stone in hand.
Well, nothing is going the way that he wants to right now, but at least he can take a prize. Emmett really would only be able to respond with his own Cramorant. It's not actually... it's technically possible for him to respond.
We're seeing a scratch here, however. Scratch coming down from the Sableye, setting up that important 2 damage counters on the Comfy, which means 2 Comfys can be knocked out with a Lost Mine later in the game, as long as it is not switch carded off. But we do see 2 switch card already in that hand for Emmett to get rid of that damage.
I don't understand that turn, if I'm being honest.
Maybe he didn't have the Force Seal to get to 4. Tough Colress here for Emmett. Lots of energy and that Force Seal Stone, as well as a Pokegear.
I will say, we've watched the Star Alchemy come in more than we've watched Requiem.
Yeah.
And I would not have expected that.
I think it makes sense in the mirror. I think into other matchups, you certainly would see that Requiem hurt a lot more, or that using that Star Alchemy hurt a lot more, not being able to use your Star Requiem. Although it did put Nick in a weird position. It puts you in a weird position in certain games too, because you just sometimes want to use the Star Requiem to conserve energy, and that's one of the things that people struggle with in this mirror, is having enough energy.
2 gates away for Emmett, I think. That's...
I believe it's only 1 gate for Emmett.
Oh,
yeah.
Guzma was the other one. Yeah, that's true, but I just think it becomes tough to put a Tina checkmate together.
Yeah.
When you have to have 3 energies on it.
Mm-hmm. Nick top decking a Comfy there, which I think is very good for him. Trying to establish a board state here. Finds a Giratina V off of that Colress, as well as a few other key resources, including Super Rod, Mirage Gate, Grass Energy, and I believe a Water Energy as well. Gonna dump that Water Energy.
There's one thing I've learned about watching Guzma play. This man hates basic energy.
No shot. I was going to say, that's your only Giratina V. You can't get rid of that.
Oh, that's never stopped Guzma before. And it's not going to stop him this time either.
He could get to the Greninja play here, but he did just get rid of the Water Energy, so I don't...
Well, I would say he could get to the Tina play, but he also got rid of his Tina. There must not be a forest in there. If there was, you would think he would have definitely kept the Tina V as a way to use the forest.
Spit Innocently going to take that knockout on
Guzma's
Emmett's
hand
Cramorant.
is horrible.
Yeah, it's a lot of energies and Mirage Gates with nothing to Mirage Gate to.
Subprime is the word for that.
It's okay, that's why it's a best of 7.
Mm-hmm. Prizing all your grass energies or having all your energies in your hand will not cause you to immediately lose all 4 of the games that you have to lose.
Nick is in serious danger of getting his only 2 Comfies left in the game, being Moonlight Shurikened here, however.
That would be extra bad because, of course, Greninja has 130 HP, and Cramorant does not that much damage. Emmett actually has all of it. He has a gate, as long as he didn't prize a Water Energy, which since he looked at his prizes, and we can look at his lost zone at the top of the screen, we know he has the waters in deck. We also actually know he has the other energies in his deck because he only has one grass and one psychic in his hand right now. So that Mirage Gate very likely going to go for water and really any other type. Grass probably, but not important. Water grass. I've seen this move before. Um, this is going to be a pickle. Do you see a way out of this one?
I could argue that maybe there would be a way out of it if he had a Giratina V on his bench, but he's just got nothing he can do.
Emmett also wiping that damage away. Nick is doing some foreshadowing for us there.
Yeah, tough position here for Nick, and I think this is one where, I guess depending on that top deck, you just gotta scoop it up. He has no more Pokemon, no way to get more Pokemon. This is just the game right here.
If this is a boss pass angle, that's not the angle we wanted.
I believe we're going to see him boss up a Giratina V-Star that has the Forest Seal Stone attached to it.
Pass anything loses to any switch.
Oh, he bossing up the Cramorant.
Oh, this actually...
that can do it, yeah.
This means Emmett will need a gate, which...
he does have the Forest Seal Stone still.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Kuzma does still have the vacuum in his hand, doesn't he? Oh,
yeah, he does. He does. Emmett just playing quickly now. Knows he has it with that Forest Seal Stone. And there's the Mirage Gate. Emmett going up 3-2.
His first lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well played by both these players. A tough turn of events there for Nick. Had a lot of draw power in that opening hand. Started comfy, had Chorus, but just couldn't find those VIP passes or nest balls to get anything going. So we'll see what is in store for us in round 6 here shortly. We will be right back. All right, welcome back to the 1K between Emmett and Nick. Going into round 6 here, Emmett is up 3-2 in this Giratina V-Star mirror for $1,000. But Emmett having not a lot of luck with the mulligans tonight. I believe it's the last 3 games he's been giving Nick at least one mulligan, but hasn't seemed to hurt him as he's won the last 2 games. Nick, I imagine, going second here as he did lose round 5. And we'll see how this will go. If you had told me that this was going to go to all 7, I would have believed you because it's the Giratina V-Star mirror.
Yeah.
But we're well on our way there. And an interesting opening hand here for Emmett. Going to have to attach retreat out of that Cramorant into the Comfy. Can that Flower Select and find him anything? It's just a Super Rod and a Giratina V-Star. I believe he does have the V in hand, but no more Flower Selectings, no more Nest Balls. Nothing else going on this turn after this Flower Selecting.
Yeah, I think the rods are so important in this matchup.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you're like, if I did prize 2 V-Star, then I just lose
Yeah,
here.
for sure. You never know.
But Giratina V-Star, or V coming down with that Forest Seal Stone attached. Does Emmett choose to use it here? Does not, and just passes it over to Nick. Nick, starting with that Giratina V in the active, has a Pokegear as the draw for turn and a Nest Ball as well. See a switch card in that hand, a switch cart, another Giratina V, or maybe that was the V-Star. So we'll see what Nick chooses to go for here. Eyeing down that Comfy, and I imagine we'll see a Flower Selecting here before we play that Pokegear. I don't believe he had a Colress in hand, so probably going to dig a little deeper with that Comfy and then play that gear to see if he can find that first Colress.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah, so far we've only had one really quick game in this series. It's just so hard to count this deck out. But it's been cool to see two pilots who have been playing a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just doing their best here.
The last time Giratina will get to play with that Path to the Peak. And because it's the mirror, neither of them really chose to play more than a couple copies.
That's for sure, yeah. All right. Should be seeing that switch cart come down into the Flower Selecting.
Flower Select finds Jet Energy and V-Star. Already has a V-Star in hand, so I'm assuming that V-Star is going to go to the Lost Zone here, and then we're going to see that Pokegear trying to dig for a Colress's Experiment.
All right.
Can he find it off that top 7? I believe that's a whiff. Finds a Roxanne.
Oh, that's tough.
It definitely puts Nick on the back foot here again. Last 2 games, just not able to find those Nest Balls and VIP passes that he wants to find to set up a solid board state on his second turn. However, he does have the Jet Energy to Abyss Seeking here, so it's not a total wash. He will get to 3 in the Lost Zone on this turn. Maybe that Abyss Seeking can find him a Colress for next turn, but certainly not the position he wants to be in right now. However, Emmett doesn't have that solid of a board state either. I think he does have a Colress in hand, however, so Emmett will be drawing a lot of cards on the following turn.
Yeah, Emmett has access to that Forest Seal Stone too, so he can kind of put together whatever turn he really wants to for the most part if he's already got the Colress in hand. Yeah, it looks like we're probably just going to see a Abyss Seeking here. Nick considering playing Boss's Orders.
It would be kind of annoying for Emmett. Like, it's more annoying than just being able to use your Comfy.
Yeah.
You know, when you have to weigh a couple options there. It's like I might need this resource of the Boss's Orders on later turns of the game. However, I'm kind of on the back foot here, so maybe I can disrupt Emmett a little bit by not letting him use that Flower Selecting and maybe forcing him just into an Abyss Seeking for turn.
But
knowing he does have that Forest Seal Stone, you have to imagine it's not that much of a disruption to just boss up that Giratina V.
Do you think that maybe bossing up the Cramorant might have been a little bit better?
Yeah, I think so. The Forest Seal Stone guarantees that Emmett has a switching out of this Giratina V anyway, and even if he doesn't, he can just attach energy for turn and Abyss Seeking.
Yeah.
The Cramorant being active is a lot more annoying. That Chorus, very good for Emmett, getting rid of those 2 Battle VIP passes. He would have liked to have those on the first turn of the game, but not too bad to have an easy choice off the Chorus now.
Yeah.
We do see an attach for turn, and I think it's just going to be an Abyss Seeking here from Emmett. Going to get him to 5 in the Lost Zone.
And I believe Nick did find Chorus's experiment off of that last Abyss Seeking, so should have access to it this turn. Also does have the Lost Vacuum I saw in his hand, so could definitely get to 7 this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Does have a Chorus off of that Abyss Seeking, like you were saying. Going to be in a good position as long as if he can find that Forest Sealstone on this turn, that could put together a very strong turn where he could knock out Emmett's only Giratina V-Star in play, or Giratina V in play. Lots of energy off of that Chorus, though. 2 grass energies. I believe a switch cart. A switch as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's eyeing up switch cart and grass energy
Yeah,
to go to the Lost Zone.
Man, I feel like
He does already have a grass energy in hand. Is Lost Vacuum on those cards, or is it Super
No,
Rod?
he has the
He has
Vacuum
the
in
Vacuum
hand.
in. Okay, so I think it's Super Rod is another one of those cards potentially. Looks like Switch Cart Grass Energy. Tough choice for sure. You got to get rid of something though. Sometimes you don't know until later in the game if it was the right choice.
yeah.
Switch coming down, going into that comfy. Flower Selecting finds Mirage Gate and Super Rod.
Yeah, probably. I don't think he had another Mirage Gate in hand. I don't believe.
I think so, but this does get him to 6, and he doesn't need to find that Forest Sealstone. He can just use Lost Vacuum on Emmett's Forest Sealstone to get himself to 7. The question is, can he combine that with a V-Star KO on Emmett's Giratina V? Attach for turn. Retreat. Does he have it? Does he see it? I don't think he had the V-Star in hand, so couldn't quite get there. So gonna have to Abyss Seeking.
That's
for 4. And
right.
finds Nest Ball, Chorus, Jet, and Water. I imagine that Water and Nest Ball, maybe.
Yeah.
You really need to get more basic Pokemon in play, though, too. Getting rid of that Nest Ball is a tough decision here.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think you just got to pitch the Nest Ball and just hope you draw into some basics off the Chorus next turn.
Neither of these players with a very strong board established, but both of them getting pretty deep into their Lost Zone now. Nick at 8, Emmett at 5 going into his second turn. So just a Chorus away from being able to knock out this Giratina V and take the first 2 prizes of the game. Chorus coming down from Emmett. Finds, I believe, Path to the Peak, Psychic Energy, VIP Pass. Double VIP Pass again off the Chorus.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely. Some easy decisions here for Nick tonight. And or for Emmett tonight, is Nick pulling out the wallet already? You can't give up that early, you know? Don't be flashing the $1,000 before the game is over.
Yeah, Nick still got the other Tina V on the bench. And we know how we've seen it time and again that even though you may go down super, super far behind early, you can always come back.
Yep, absolutely. Emmett, I'm not quite sure what he grabbed off that, but he did use the Forest Sealstone here. It looks like it was for a Mirage Gate. Mirage Gate coming down, going to be able to power up this Giratina V-Star and take the first 2 prizes for Emmett in this game 6 of this best of 7.
Yeah, we'll see the Water and the Psychic coming down. And yeah, Emmett taking the lead. Gonna be 4 prizes to 6 prizes remaining. But Nick's got a pretty big hand. Let me see the attach return.
Emmett really loading up that Giratina V-Star. Kind of signaling, I don't think you got it on the following turn. I think that's kind of a bold move here.
I think that is a bold move. That could be the kind of opening that Nick needs to get back into this game.
Yeah, we saw overloading a Giratina V-Star on the last game really hurt Nick in the end, and Nick just top decked that Giratina V-Star for turn.
That's huge.
So he should be able to get there to get this knockout on Emmett's Giratina V-Star. Emmett did not take his 2 prizes.
Ooh, does he have the... He doesn't have the Mirage Gate in hand, or does he?
I don't believe he does. I think that he... The only Mirage Gate I've seen from Nick so far, he was forced to pitch to the Lost Zone. And no Mirage Gate off that Chorus either.
Okay, I think I'd like to see him use that Pokegear next. Maybe thin out 1 extra card that's not Mirage Gate.
Yeah, his hand is just full of energy and no way to draw.
If he finds the Mirage Gate, is he going to even be able to use it?
Yeah. For a Seal Stone.
That's pretty good.
But it means he gets rid of his second V-Star.
Ooh, that's so tough.
You just have to, though. You have to. If you don't attack this turn, you lose. You got to assume you're losing. And the Forest Seal Stone really seems to be the only way that Nick can attack this turn. Would also get him to 10. He should be at 10. Or he already is at 10. So all he needs to do is...
Yeah, it's just got to be.
He just has to. There's nothing else he can do. He has to take that Force Seal Stone if he wants to attack this turn. But getting rid of the second V-Star in the mirror feels really bad. He could Jet Energy to dig a little deeper before using the Force Seal Stone, but that Star Requiem probably not as valuable as using the Force Seal Stone this game. He does have the Lost Vacuum to get rid of the stadium, but again, he just has been so limited on finding more basic Pokemon. He'd love to have a Greninja out, vacuum away that stadium, start using concealed cards to draw more cards. But
yeah, set up some energies in the discards. We can rot him back, definitely. Yeah, just trying to plan through this turn, see what can possibly do to get there.
He doesn't have a... Does he have a switch in hand?
I don't think he does. He's got a Jet, but not a switch.
Yeah, I was going to say, his problem right now is that he has all his grass energy in hand, so he has to attach grass for turn. So that means he can't switch into the Tina. He could... Oh, man. This is just a tough draws here for Nick in his last 2 games, for sure. Force Seal Stone, going to use that Star Alchemy to search his deck. Going to target down a Mirage Gate, but there's only 2 Psychic Energies left in deck. He can't even use Mirage Gate for 2 energy. So is it even worth taking at this point?
I don't know what else you take here. You've already supported for turn.
You just can't even use it, though. Oh, man.
I mean, maybe you could go for like a counter catcher play on the Tina V. Like maybe, I don't know. This seems tough. Looks like he is going to opt for the Mirage Gate. Yeah.
I mean, he's just going to have to pass with Comfy active and hope for the best.
Yeah.
He does have Roxanne in hand, so if Emmett's just forced to knock out this Comfy, he could go Roxanne, counter catcher, KO the Tina V-Star. If Emmett moves it out of the active, obviously, and I would assume he'd want to use Cramorant to knock out the Comfy if it was left active this turn.
Yeah. If he chooses to do that, though, I feel like he should have held that Forest Seal Stone then.
Yeah. Once again, a position where having an Ultra Ball would be great. Get some of these energies out of your hand.
He's going to play the Mirage Gate, though.
I mean, he doesn't really have an option because there's no way to get that energy back in the deck either. Like, he doesn't have access to Greninja. I think Greninja's prized because as he's been looking through his deck, I don't think he has it. So
yeah, you're right.
That energy is all just trapped in hand. So it doesn't really matter. Like, he can't he can't really get any energy back into the deck anyway. And I think it's just going to be a Mirage Gate for that 1 psychic energy and a pass back over to Emmett.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. It's certainly appearing that it's Emmett's game to lose at this point.
Yeah. Emmett, I think, has a few really good cards in that hand as well. He's going to be in a strong position, especially if he's got like a Jet Energy plus a Colress for turn in that hand. And we see that draw for turn. Has a Pokegear. Nest Ball first. Going to go find maybe that second Cramorant or a Sableye coming down.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, if he's able to find a boss off this gear, that seems to me like the basically be game.
I think
He did not.
Finds Roxanne and Iono off the Pokegear.
I certainly know that you do not want to Iono that gear.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm trying to get a good read on his hand. He has, I believe the other supporter in hand was a Roxanne already. He has another Pokegear to use, however. Could dig for that boss's orders again, and that just makes the most sense, but going to thin out the deck a little bit of those energies before he does it. He has a good shot at hitting boss if he can get this deck thin enough before drawing those top 7 with that Pokegear. I believe
I think I would have liked him to see that first.
Yeah, I believe he also has a Jet Energy in hand, so he could. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm.
No, I think he does have a Jet.
I was gonna say he could Comfy first too, which doesn't seem bad.
You know, this has been a long set so far, so you know
Does
sometimes
find the boss's
finds
orders,
the boss.
and that's gonna have to be game here. I don't see any way for Nick to come back from this, and yeah, that's just a tough last couple of games for Nick. Couldn't quite put together the turns that he wanted to see, and just ended up with so much energy in hand. The Mirage Gates weren't popping off, and just some tough flower selectings and Colresses that couldn't quite get him what he needed. Emmett gonna Lost Zone Water and Jet, take a knockout on that Giratina V-Star. I think Nick just questioning whether he'd already attached for turn. I don't believe he had because he used Mirage Gate. So when he attached that Jet for turn, near the end of that turn, you know, that was a very legal play.
Yep.
Now Nick definitely in a tough spot. With that Manaphy coming down, it means even his only shot to take, you know, 2 prizes with a 1 prizer is that Radiant Greninja. And with that Manaphy coming down, that avenue is shut off to him.
Yeah, he is very far behind in this game, so let's take 6 prizes. I think at this point, really, your only shot, your only line really is to go for like a counter catcher onto the Tina V, like Roxanne, Sableye. Yeah. But he might not even be able to do that much.
Does find a Cramorant, so he has an attacker now. But what else can he put together? He does have the Roxanne in hand, I believe. And maybe the counter catcher?
Yeah, Nick,
Lost Vacuum going to get rid of that stadium.
sense then in the handout a little bit for this incoming Roxanne. It's like he's eyeing up a Super Rod play here. But yeah, I think if he has any shot of staying in this game, he has to find the counter catcher off this Roxanne.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking though is whoever wins, they have $500 more, right, or $1,000 more, and I mean that was just a free $1,000 they just won. They might want to money match somebody else next. We
That's
could do
true.
this again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, anyone tuning in, if this looks like something that'd float your boat, we'd love to have to do another one of these sometime in the future. So please reach out to either Tom and I Tom or I on Discord if you're interested in setting up a money match. We'd love to cast it for you.
Absolutely. We can cast it here at the Forge, or you can also check us out at our YouTube channel, the Zero Lab TCG on YouTube. We upload a weekly podcast as well as try to do some daily uploads every weekday of new deck lists, reviews of how the current format is going, that sort of thing. Don't forget to check us out on the Zero Lab, where hopefully in the future we'll be streaming more of these sorts of things.
All right, let's see. Off that Roxanne, I don't know if I'm seeing the counter.
He does have the counter catcher, just not the Sableye.
That is awkward. I guess you could spit into the
Tina V.
the Tina this turn.
Yeah.
I think that's probably fine. That's still 110 damage on the board. Emmett's got like nothing in his discard.
That means that Roxanne has a chance of having hit very hard here.
Yeah.
When your deck is not thinned out very much, those Roxannes can be very painful.
Yeah, certainly. All right. And
Nick's just got to go for the counter catcher here, though. He has really no other option. Nest Ball, gonna go find maybe that Greninja, but I think that Greninja has been prized. I haven't seen it all game. Does have the Sableye, but I don't think he has the Mirage Gate to power up that Sableye.
yeah.
Did already attach for turn to use that Jet Energy.
Yeah. Well, the Sableye is ideal. I think, yeah, your general game plan here is fine with the Cram Spit, so I would imagine that's what he'll go for. I think he's debating what to take. It's just got to be the V. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like taking a KO here, I guess it's okay, but
Yeah.
Emmett now can just respond for free with the Cram, no problem.
Yeah, it makes your Roxanne pretty much worthless on that last turn, although Emmett did top deck Colress for turn, so the Roxanne didn't really stick him that hard anyway, but allowing Emmett to just promote that Cramorant, knowing that he'd take a prize despite what he got off the Roxanne, is definitely tough. Emmett with a Nest Ball plus Super Rod, getting that Sableye back and shuffling 2 Psychic Energies back into the deck. And then we're going to see a Colress's Experiment here as well.
Yeah, pretty good.
Although holding that Colress, not tempting Nick to Roxanne him again, and just taking the spit KO on Nick's Cramorant.
Now it's just kind of tough, right? Because if you respond with this Tina, you have to KO his Tina.
Yep.
But if you do that, then he should just be able to win the game with either Sableye or like a Boss Cram play. Yeah, 5 more prize cards to take. Is gonna send up that Tina V, looks like. Maybe.
Yeah, he's basically at the point where all Emmett really needs is Psychic Energy to win, whether it's on the Tina V-Star or on the Sableye. It doesn't really matter. There's just not a lot of coming back from this position in the game. That did top deck the Psychic Energy to be able to power up that Sableye. Does get Roxanne. And despite the fact that Emmett only has 2 cards in hand, I think you just got to Roxanne him again.
I think so. Does he have access to another counter catcher?
I don't believe so. So I ultimately it probably just doesn't matter. However, I mean, you could Roxanne Sableye KO the Cramorant and then say you didn't get energy off of my Roxanne, but choosing to hold on to the Pokegear and get rid of the Roxanne. Again,
possibly looking for a boss then.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Emmett didn't really play a supporter last turn, only has 2 cards in hand, but we know that he saved that Colress.
Yeah, pretty smart move, I think, on Emmett's part. He's gonna whiff here.
Yeah, whiffs on the Pokegear. coming down to the end here, it feels like, for sure.
Yeah, certainly feels like the inevitable is just being slightly delayed. See the chorus come down. You can pitch the Manaphy VIP pretty easily.
Yeah, and all that chorus gave him was just more energy in hand. That's just rough draws here in these last couple of games for Nick. Not a whole ton you can do about that. And that's the problem with this Giratina V-Star deck. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's flowing correctly.
For sure, for sure. Sometimes it feels like the most broken deck in the format, and sometimes it feels like, oops, all energy.
Yeah, yeah. And Nick gonna just have to retreat out of Comfy here into the V-Star, into the Giratina V, and pass. Man.
Yeah, gonna evolve.
Now all Emmett needs is a way to retreat this Cramorant and then energy, and that will be game. We know he's got the Colress in hand. Not quite sure what he took off the prize cards. Is a Jet Energy, and that is just going to be the game. Well played by both these players. That is going to be the end of our best of 7 tonight. Emmett finally coming out on top after starting the night on the back foot.
Definitely.
Went down in the first game, and then it was kind of a back and forth from there until we got to 2-2. And then those last couple games, Nick had some tough starts, some tough draws, and just couldn't quite get out of some sticky situations there.
Yeah.
But Emmett coming away with $1,000 tonight, showing his mastery of that Giratina V-Star deck in this Paradox Rift format as we go into the last week of this format being legal and the last weekend of cups for the Paradox Rift format, really showing true mastery of Giratina V-Star. And I'll be excited to see if Emmett continues that trend into the Temporal Forces format here as we go into our next quarter.
Yeah, congrats to Emmett, and also congrats to Nick. They both played pretty well. It was definitely really fun to watch, and thanks to them for allowing us to stream this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to The Forge for having us here. Don't forget to check out The Forge. You can use that discount code that we have on the stream here. Post-rotation stream is the discount code. Come on down to The Forge. That will get you 10% off your entire purchase. Singles, sealed product, all that good stuff. If you spend $1 million, you'll get $100,000 off with that code, post-rotation stream. So come on down to The Forge. Check them out. Thank you to The Forge for hosting us. Don't forget to check us out at the Zero Lab on YouTube and all of our social medias where we post daily Pokemon content over there. Thank you for tuning in to this awesome 1K best of 7. Hopefully we'll be able to do a few more of those as we go forward. And big shout out to Max for helping out and casting with me tonight. And big shout out to Cody as well for helping us put this all together.